night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling them wrong. You got me like, oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling them wrong. Hey, it's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling them wrong. You got me like, oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling them wrong. Hey, oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling them wrong. You got me like, oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling them wrong.
This is Houston Control. Check them back up. Back initiated. Looking at all ports. Clear. And we are good to go.
Thanks, Houston. We got it from here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. How is everyone this evening? Lord, looks like everybody's piling in. We got 22 in here right now. For me, that's a bit. Let me look up here and see who all I can find. Let's see what the participants think. I got Access Monday, Charles B, Crunchy B, Illusory Truth. I also want to mention thank you for all showing up in alphabetical order. That's very orderly of you. Illusory Truth. Lop is here. Malcolm Sheen. Nathan Bowers, no longer on the ball. Nubs is here with us tonight. Nubs Revenge. You got Plyboys 6756. Who just popped in? Emilios Man and Gray Eagle are here with us as well. Great. Good to see everybody. Let's see what's happening over here in the old chatter box. Yes, that is Netflix. That is Netflix. Who said that? Illusory Truth, that is. You can go in. There's a whole library of copyright-free music that you can actually download. I downloaded it, and then I put it to that in a photo, in a video editor, and it just worked out really good. I was happy to see that it actually turned out as good as it did. I didn't know. That was like my first attempt at doing some shit like that, so that was pretty cool. We got Kate Emma's showed up here with us tonight too. What happened to Sergeant Rock? He was here just a few minutes ago. Now, some of you may not realize that Sergeant Rock is none other than Sean Hawkins. He's changed his channel name, and he is now operating under the name of Sergeant Rock. So is this a rebranding? Are we seeing a rebranding? Is this a Sean Hawkins 2.0? Is it, what are we doing? Are we changing the format? Just curious. That's all. I was just curious about that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Absolutely. There's Alexio Catan. Am I saying that right? Catan, or is it Catan? I'm not really understanding the pronunciation of that, but welcome. We got Sherry Cox is here with us again tonight. That's good to see. Lots and lots of people showing up. Not at Crab's House, bro. Yeah, Dick's Crab House. The back of this is pretty cool. It's a girl in a bikini and says, "I got my crabs from Dirty Dick's." We went there when we were in Outer Banks, North Carolina, a couple of years back. It was pretty cool. Greetings, everyone. Just found you, Sovereign. Much no longer on the ball. Good. Glad you found it. Does that mean you just found the stream or you just found the channel? Either way, welcome. I think it's pretty cool. tomorrow, just so all of you know, and I'll put a community post up about it because I just uploaded it. As you all know, I used to have another channel, and it was struck down for whatever reason. The powers that be thought it not necessary to have that on there anymore. So luckily I download all my streams, and I had one on there. Perhaps you're familiar with a character by the name of Red's Rhetoric. Nathan, who's that guy's name? Nathan Oakley. I've just been watching him the last couple of days. I just ran across his videos, and he's been ripping the shit out of poor Red. And it reminded me that I had this debate with Red, and it was on the old channel. And of course, when the old channel got pooched, well, it was gone. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and re-uploaded it. So there's going to be a premiere tomorrow evening of this. It's about a 2-hour long show. Came out. Yeah, math is reality. Well, Renee, I'm glad you said that, because this is one of the crux of the shit that was pissing him off. Every time he used an assumed value in any of his calculations, I called him out on it. And I was like, well, where did you get this number from? Well, because it's known. And I'm like, well, how is it known? And he really got angry there toward the end. I ended up having to kick him off for being a douche canoe, and I wasn't getting anywhere with him anyway. So forgot how good it was. I sat here this afternoon and watched it again just to see if I should upload it. And yeah, definitely. So tomorrow, I think it's at 7 or 7:30. I have a thing set to premiere. Like I said, I'll put a community post out on it. It should be pretty good. You guys will enjoy it. A lot of you new people that weren't around when I had the other channel. We went a lot of videos we did about a guy named Chili DeCastro, and although that was how I initially had started out, it's not what I wanted my channel to be, and so I gravitated away from that and into things that are of a higher mind. I like to think anyway. So let's see who else he made this channel to make money and deceive people, decisive people. And I've been decisiving people using mind control. That's exactly right. Even though I don't have enough subscribers to be not monetized, I'm somehow grifting money off of people. That's a very astute observation, Alexio. Thank you for that. Yeah, please let me know that you, Alexio, Cat, and I'm going to put the link up here in just a little bit. And if you'd like to come up here and prove to me how I am a liar, I would most certainly welcome that, because I have nothing to gain by lying about anything. What is there to gain in a lie? Nothing. So I stole your money. All right. Well, there you go. That's what I'm a scammer. I stole your money. What money did I steal from you, and how exactly did I do that, Alexio? Report and ban everyone. There you go. Well, it looks like we have another unhinged, crazy person on our hands tonight. So I wanted to share with everybody. I think we've got a pretty good amount of people in here, and I can, of course, share it again. I have this short little video that I think you'll be interested in. And this is how the proportions involved with the eclipse do not work out for what we have in observation. So I'm going to let this play here in just a minute. But as you've heard me speak before, that if you scale things can be scaled. In other words, you could take what their proposed distance and size of the sun is and scale that into half, okay? And everything else, scale it by half. And it will still appear the same to you from your observer point on the ground every time, okay? This is why in a planetarium we can replicate the exact conditions of the sky outside, yet the images that we're actually looking at are only a matter of yards away from us, projected onto a domed ceiling. So you could actually take and use your same numbers. He liked to argue in this debate that, well, you can't get the parallax and look from a different direction. Yes, I can. You just put the coordinates of the other place you want to view that night sky from into the fucking thing. Boom, you're instantaneously there. It will adjust it so that you are exactly in that position. So you could do all of the comparisons, you could do all of the mathematics, and you will see that the distances and sizes that they use have to be assumed because it still works for the scaled down version that you're looking at inside this dome. It's not really tough shit to do. It's not at all. What's Alexia? What's this guy who's having a rough time, I think. Yeah, I know. I just kind of stopped. I stopped even paying any attention to that dude. So anyway, with no further ado, I will pull up this video, and I think I'll let it speak for itself. Oh, wait. I have a problem here. Houston, we have a problem.
Let's talk about proportions for a moment here.
Second.
Here I have a picture of. Here we go. Let's talk about proportions for a moment here. Here I have a picture of two dogs. When I shrink the picture down, since the dogs are still relatively the same size in comparison to one another, they can be considered proportionate. However, if I take the same picture and shrink it down again, if one dog shrinks at a different rate than the other dog, then they are not proportionate. A simple math problem can be done to keep our dogs proportionate to each other. Let's start with the original sizes of these dogs. Let's say our big dog is 18 inches tall, and our little dog is 9 inches tall. This is the standard we are going to go off of. Now, if we shrink our big dog down to 15 inches tall, how tall should our little dog be if we want it to be proportional? We can find this out by taking the 15, timesing it by the 9, and then dividing it by the 18. All right, so 15 times 9 is 135. Now we take the 135 and divide it by 18. This gives us an answer of 7.5 inches. So if we shrink the big dog down to make it 15 inches tall, the little dog should be shrunk to 7.5 inches, if it is to stay proportional. If you get a number other than that, then it is not proportional. It's pretty simple. Now let's put the dogs aside and get to the meat and potatoes. NASA claims that the moon has a diameter of 2,159 miles. And during a solar eclipse, when the moon casts its shadow onto the Earth, the moon's umbral shadow is 70 miles wide. So let's hold them to that standard. If the Earth is a ball, a lunar eclipse shadow should be proportional to a solar eclipse shadow. So if the Earth's diameter is 7,917 miles, and it is proportionate with the moon, how big should the Earth's umbral shadow be when it hits the moon? We take 7,917 and times it by 70, and next we divide that by 2,159. That gives us a total of about 256 miles. But please notice how that is significantly smaller than the size of the moon. If the Earth's umbral shadow was that small, this is what we should be seeing. Now let's go take a look different conclusions we can come to from
No
here.
way. No
Perhaps
way.
the Earth is way bigger than NASA tells us it is. Unless NASA is lying to us about the size of the moon. Or perhaps lunar eclipses are just not caused by the Earth's shadow. If you have seen my other videos about lunar eclipses, I can hope you will agree with me on that. Nonetheless, at the heart of every conclusion you can come to on the matter, NASA is lying to us. I hope this will wake you up to at least that much. It's time to abolish NASA, guys. There are a lot better ways the government can spend $24 billion. This message is brought to you by the Flat Earth Institute of Science, with a special thank you to the Potter's Clay, who was the one to show me this observation. You're an inspiration to us all.
So, yeah, somebody said, who was it just said? Said, Dave, there's trolls in the chat. I know. I don't care. Let them do their thing. They, if when I put the link up, if they want to come up and showcase their brilliance instead of having to go through all that effort of typing some shit, I'll be happy to let them come on up and do what they got to do with that. But as I was getting into, you can see that those ratios in no way work, and this is what I've tried to say with scale. A large object that's very far away and moving fast can appear the same as a smaller object that is much closer and traveling slow. So without any kind of a reference point, it's impossible to actually calculate these phenomenal distances that they try to give us. And when you ask them about this shit about finding the distance to the sun, well, that's where they give you a bunch of crap about you. Okay, well, you have to have a triangulation point, and you have to have, two observance points. Okay, you got two observance points. Wonderful. Now what, right? And so, well, you triangulate that. Okay, so then you're on a flat surface then, right? Well, no, you're on a ball. Well, then what right angle? What right triangle ever has a fucking arc in it? You can't do that. Was the guy that guy today? Who was I? What did I just say his name was? Jesus Christ. He was ripping on Red too because in Astronomy Live he was going on him about the your math is showing that you're looking through a tunnel in the earth or some shit like that, and you can't actually do that. That's not even close to correct. I mean, that's what are you doing now? You can't just fucking put shit in there and say, oh, well, don't pay attention to that. Don't pay attention to this. Don't pay attention to that. So just hang in here, Alexio, or whatever the fuck your name is. I'll get you in here. I'll let you come on up here and do what you got to do. I mean, that's all up to you. I'm good with it. Either way that you want to do it. This is another one too. And then we're going to discuss this shit. Okay. So let me bring this one up real quick. That one's got sound. Well, yeah. All right. You're ready. You're ready, everybody. All right.
Greek astronomers also thought that the best way to explain eclipses lunar era, imagining that the Earth and the Sun occupied opposite sides of the Earth and that the shadow of a planet, projected by the Sun, fell on the Moon and eclipsed it. A solar eclipse is apparently the result of the Moon passing between the Sun and the observer on Earth. Simulations and tests have been carried out that show that eclipses occur perfectly in this geocentric flat Earth model. But even today we wonder, is the Moon really the one that covers the Sun? Since this is not seen and there is no real image of eclipses from space or anything to prove it. A lunar eclipse arises from a shadow of the Earth, but it is a claim that is not really proven. This may sound strange, but let's see why, from a flat earthen perspective. During the full moon you can see how the entire disk shines brightly, an effect that is impossible from a spherical surface. If the surface of the moon were dull and earthy instead of polished like a mirror, it might just look lit up like a wall, or like the face of a distant sandstone rock, but it might not glow brightly from all sides like the moon does. We are going to see 4 important factors to know the true topography or shape of the moon. The shaping factor. A shadow will always naturally move across different types of surface. The shadow will always take the shape of the surface or area, revealing the true shape of an object. This never happens on the surface of the moon during an eclipse. The shadow diffusion factor. In a sphere, the shadow is more diffuse around. It is sharper or more defined in the protruding portion of the sphere. This is because the closer the shadow is to the light source, the more defined its edges will be. And the further the light source is from the shadow on the surface, the longer or more diffuse it will become. The shadow not only rises and falls, it stretches, bends with the surface and becomes sharper or diffuse. With these 2 factors you can know the topography or real shape of the moon. But also the next factor is very important. The sine wave factor or S-shaped shadow. The moon is supposed to be a sphere. The shadow that is projected on it must also take on the characteristics of a sphere. This critical factor never appears in lunar eclipses. The S shadow is caused when a round, spherical or curved object passes over a spherical surface. As the shadow moves over the sphere, it adapts around its curve. The shadow will take the spherical outline and will always follow the nearby edges due to perspective. The shadow will take the shape until it reaches the highest point. As the shadow passes the midpoint, it begins to bend in a curved way. When a shadow moves across.
Okay, I got a part 2. Hold on one sec. And I'll bring that up. I guess we're still waiting on this Axios guy or whatever to come up.
and slight cools. Temperature measurements have been made to...
This is just a couple more minutes. Let me go back to this. There we go.
And slight cools. Temperature measurements have been made to prove it. The closer another object is to a sphere, the light it is reflecting will appear. During an eclipse, we are told that the moon is reflecting light from Earth, but does the Earth reflect light to the moon? If that were true, then the new moon phase would not exist, which is when the moon is not seen and disappears. If the moon were in total darkness, then it should be illuminated by the Earth, because that's when it's supposedly closest. But that, of course, does not happen. So the observations and experiments lead to the conclusion that the moon shines with its own light. It is not a reflector of the sun's light, but absolutely self-luminous. The Earth has been shown to have neither orbital nor axial motion. Therefore, it could never come between the sun and the moon. According to the of the Earth, we live in a plane, always under the sun and the moon. Therefore, to speak of its intersection with the light of the sun and to project its own shadow on the moon is physically impossible. In addition to the previous difficulties or incompatibilities, there are many cases that recorded that the sun and the moon were eclipsed when they were both above the horizon, without being aligned with the Earth.
I've seen that.
This has occurred on different dates throughout history, phenomena that were recorded by astronomers and
I
observers.
love seeing it in the middle of the day.
The above, then, does not square with the idea that a lunar eclipse arises from a shadow of the Earth. Astronomers in the past have come to the conclusion that there is at least one non-luminous body of considerable magnitude that is connected as a satellite to this Earth. And there are invisible moons in the sky. This satellite is called the shadow object or anti-moon. What makes eclipses possible only when the three bodies, sun, object, and moon, are aligned, and when the moon crosses the orbital plane of the sun at a point called the node. So a lunar eclipse occurs when the stark, non-luminous body passes before the moon, or between the surface of the moon and the observer on the surface of the Earth. The existence of dark bodies that revolve around luminous objects in the sky. It has been admitted by practical observers from the earliest ages, and that nowadays a great deal of evidence has accumulated on the subject. That astronomers are forced to admit that there are not only dark bodies that occasionally obscure luminous stars when they are in conjunction, but there are large cosmic bodies, and that at least one is connected as a satellite to this Earth.
There are really satellites then.
Familiar with the methods for calculating eclipses, and other phenomena tend to regard such calculations as powerful arguments in favor of the spherical Earth doctrine and Newtonian philosophy in general, but it has nothing to do with it. It is not difficult to form a general notion of the process of calculating eclipses. It can be easily conceived by prolonged observations on the sun and the moon. The lunar eclipse is a phenomenon that comes in patterns. By studying these patterns, it is possible to predict when the next transit or eclipse will occur.
Hey, how can we do patterns if we're flying 93 million miles per hour in every direction at every point in time?
The magnitude and duration of a future eclipse.
It's every 18
This also
years.
does not apply only to the eclipse.
Right. That seems like we're going in too many directions at one point in time to have that happen, though.
The sky are predictable only because they are phenomena that come in patterns. Astronomers predict celestial events by studying the patterns and calculating when the next will occur. Actually, NASA freely admits that they use ancient cycle tables for their eclipse predictions. Visaro cites those ancient methods that simply look at past patterns in the sky to predict the next one as precisely.
So in other words, they know the old secrets, but they aren't going to tell you because it would blow their budget.
Right.
The tables of the places of the sun and the moon, of the eclipses.
Could you imagine the lawsuit if they
Hold on a
actually
minute.
had to come
Hold on
out?
a minute.
Years, and formed independently of each other by the Chaldeans, Babylonians, Egyptians, Hindus, Chinese, and other ancient astronomers. Modern science has had nothing to do with this, beyond making them a little more exact, averaging and reducing the fractional errors that a longer observation period has detected. But those predictions do not contribute to our knowledge of the causes of eclipses, and they don't allow us to predict anything that hasn't happened hundreds of times.
Huh. So what do you think about that?
I think their budget would be blown, and I think if the American public ever actually really went to law or went to court about it, I think that within 3 or 4 days they'd be broke.
I mean, the amount of money alone that they spend in effort to keep you thinking this other crazy shit. I mean, even the way the shadow comes in is totally opposite to what you should be seeing if it was actually a shadow. But it's not, man. I watched a selenial eclipse in California a few years back, and the moon, this was supposedly the moon going in front of the sun, right? But the fucking moon was over my left shoulder, man. I was like, what? Wait a second. That's not even fucking possible.
I remember that. That was all kinds of fucked up here in Minnesota, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they just try to, oh no, this is because of some other kind of crazy shit that we made up, It was like when I had that Red's Rhetoric on and he was trying to tell me all these ways that, well, this is how we know that how far away this thing is. And it's based because we know that Mars is such and such a ways away and that it moves at this speed. And I'm like, no, man, you don't know anything about how far away it is or how big it is or anything. All you know is you see a red light in the sky that goes in a certain pattern. That's it. You don't know how far away it is. What are you measuring that with? Did it ever even occur to anybody? Why is that fucking thing, when it's more than twice the distance away from the sun than we are, why it shimmers red like a star at night? I mean, why would you even see the damn thing? How is it even getting any daylight at that distance? That's just stupid, man.
Gravity.
Yeah,
gravity answers everything.
Parallax. I guess that guy that was running his mouth earlier didn't show up. You know who he might be? You know what I think who he is? Remember when I had Conspiracy Smasher from Twitter on here? And
yeah.
Got fucking hammered. He started mouthing off again on Twitter, and I sent him a link. I said, go ahead and come on. So he probably just came in here to be a fucking cockbag, see?
Well, as soon as I saw that he had 2 accusations that weren't consistent, I figured he had the same kind of training that a law enforcement professional might have, like absolutely nothing more than 6 months.
John Wayne's asking if I'm actually on the ISS. Yes, absolutely I am. And the way you can tell, because it looks so fake, it has to be real. I have the exact, you'll notice, because I have the same green screen glitches that the other astronauts. And I use other astronauts because I'm an astronaut too now, because I'm up here, you see.
No, you're an ass or not.
Yeah, right. An actor not. I'm an
actor not, ass or not. It's all the same.
Yeah, I joined the death cult. That's look. I'll go over to the cupola. I'll go over to the cupola real quick. Hang on. I'll be right back.
Gotta love when you lose your lemon.
Oh, yeah. All right, there we go. So now you can see the nice round earth behind me. So this is mind control to Major Tom. My wife's new Guatemalan boyfriend has a higher IQ than every caveman in this entire chat. Damn, Sean Eunuch Hawkins, that's some rough shit. I am good at swimming. I grew up on a lake, no longer on the ball. Let's see, what realm are we discussing? I'm a bit late. Well, just basically this realm that we seem to be experiencing, this reality scape. What should we call it? I mean, we know that just about everything that we think we know about it or have been told about it is a lie on the physical level, as well as on a political scale, as well as on a historical scale. Everything is just a bunch of deception. Did you hear where they found Obama's cook drowned?
Well, I heard that Michael was Michelle was using the bathroom, and he accidentally walked into the bathroom, the non-gender bathroom. Yes.
Listen, it's very brave and stunning for a woman to stand while peeing. Okay.
Yes.
That's
Standing
stunning
up for women's rights.
That's stunning and brave. So what do we say? But I just wonder, so I caught this this podcast the other day that had Anthony Weiner. You remember Anthony Weiner?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The Wienermobile.
I mean, you can't make this shit up. What's he get in trouble for? Taking pictures of his wiener and sending them to underage people and shit like that, right? So they had this guy on this podcast, and this guy don't fuck around, man. And when he started listing off the Clinton body count because he was going to ask him, how can there be that many people, so close to them that have just died in such mysterious ways, man. And he was like reading off this list of like 43, right? And this Wiener dude, man, was losing his fucking mind, man. He was completely losing his mind. He wouldn't even let him finish it out. What are you doing with this conspiracy theory? And he says, I haven't even asked you the question yet. He said, I haven't even asked you nothing, but your demeanor is very, very telling. And I thought the exact same thing. There's flow state. Flow him to the floor.
Not this motherfucker again. Flow state.
Yeah,
what a fucking loser.
I hate that guy. He's the worst.
What a dickbag, right?
Now I can't even use that phrase.
Why the fuck are you fucking with Paulie?
I'm like the only one who's not fucking with Paul today.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like kind of out of the loop on that one. What's going on?
He's hitting critical mass of like people sick of his douchebaggery, and it's just kind of.
Oh shit!
But he refuses to like do anything else. So I don't know. It's just like he took a lot of shots today. It seems like.
Is this basically everybody on panel or?
Basically, I mean, I don't know. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it today, and strangely, I guess I did take a shot or two this morning when Z asked me about him, but like I didn't participate in any of it really because I was working today, and just that there's no need to that battle's won, at least in this case.
So he's I almost forgot about Z. Almost completely forgot about that fucking guy.
Oh, Joanna. Hello, y'all.
Wait up.
Enjoying this realm.
Did any of the rest of you see this thing with Anthony Weiner?
Not sure who Anthony Weiner is.
Remember, he
I
was
remember Oscar Mayer, but
oh no.
Do you remember my wiener?
nope. Never seen it.
That's what I hear. That's what a lot of girls say. That's fine.
No,
Dave never says that though.
Anthony Weiner is he was married to, well, he's separated from her now, but Huma Abedin, who's Hillary Clinton's like #1 gal, chief in charge.
Oh, that's right.
And he got in
I
trouble
didn't- it
for
was-
ironically sending pictures of his wiener to an underage girl.
Right.
Yeah.
Twice, right? Didn't he get out of trouble and then get back in trouble again?
Yeah, dude, this guy is quintessential. And listen, I'm not saying anything. I'm not trying to be racist or anything like that. But you know the quintessential annoying Brooklyn Jew. You know the one I'm talking about. Oh my God. Or is that what you're going to now? Oh my God, there's mucus. There's blood in my mucus. It's just like this.
Not on the YouTubes, Dave.
For real. This guy is so annoying. And his reaction to these questions are like
On Patrick Bet David.
What's that?
Did you see the interview he did with Patrick Bet David Valuetainment?
Yeah,
Where
is that the one, the PBD podcast?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, where he got asked about like the hit list.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I'm talking about, man. He lost his fucking mind.
Okay, so here's the question I had about that though. Does his reaction seem too over the top?
Yes.
Okay. It seems like a psyop or something to me.
I mean, it's just like he's already annoying enough to where he won't let the fucking guy finish a point or let him finish a sentence, you know, before he's automatically jumping in. What was it? He said something about, he says, no, I haven't bothered to look at that because it's a conspiracy. All I read was the reviews on it.
But don't you think that, I don't know, you know, I give people too much credit a lot of times, but I just got to think that if you were trying to play it off, you would not do it like that.
Well,
So
I don't
think
think
about
he
it.
can help it. I don't think he can help it. This guy is a slave
can't.
to emotions, man. He really is. You can tell.
He's been teased about his last name his entire life. Everybody has called him a wiener for his entire, and been legit about it. Like, even the people that weren't teasing him were still teasing him. Oh, wiener. Come here, wiener.
Bro, and that last name is not something that you ever grow out of. That is going to be ridiculed forever. We're still doing it.
Right. He's not even here and we're doing it.
Okay, so
Because he's a little bitch.
this is
Well,
the thing.
online you can't even use the name Dick. You know, my dad's name happens to be Richard. What if his name was Dick? I wouldn't be able to use it online. It will kick it out. Even on your phone, it kicks it out. Yeah.
No, Dick's up all the time. Dick pops up all the time.
I try to on some things, and it just will not let me post.
But how regularly do you give a duck? Probably a lot.
Every once in a while, not too often.
So I thought this part was funny. He was getting asked about his things of what he'd done and all this other with this 15-year-old.
Wait, he was getting asked about or asked?
So check this out. I put up the
Look at that stupid beret in the middle.
Yeah, that's Curtis Sliwa. Do you know about him?
I don't know about him, but I don't like him.
Okay, back in
Why
the
do all
70s.
their fucking names have to do with wieners?
Okay, so listen. Back in the day in Brooklyn, all right, Curtis Sliwa had this group that they called the Guardian Angels. And they were like, they trained with martial arts and shit like that because their crime was going crazy. And they would just like ride the subways. And if anybody fucking started to rob somebody or whatever else, they would apprehend them and make citizens arrests.
They're like vigilantes in New York.
Yeah, yeah. And they became this thing and it got really famous about it. And of course, that's the district where Anthony Weiner is from, or that he represents. So this is him being, them talking about, you know, he was trying to say that, oh, my thing that I, you know, with that girl and all that. Listen, it was part of a disease. This is fucking crazy.
That's an obscure answer. I think so. Either you know in your heart if you changed, or you know in your heart if you didn't change. Can you assure people, because you're going to now try and draw in an audience, and they're going to want to know if you've changed or not. Have you changed?
They can judge for themselves.
I'm sorry?
I wouldn't trust that answer.
I said they can judge for themselves. I'm not
And we
out to
do judge.
persuade you or anyone else that I've
Yeah, he needs
changed.
to come to the streets of
I'm doing a
YouTube.
radio show, and people can call in and ask me questions. We did one this past Saturday where people had an opportunity to call
Why
in.
do the chomos always look like chomos?
You said you want to react to it?
No, you were characterizing it, so rather than you characterize
Was
it.
that pretty accurate on characterizing it, or was I a little off?
I'll be honest with you. It's
Got
a
it.
while
I just
ago.
want to make sure I'm pretty accurate.
Would it be fair to say you stand by that statement? Do you think you have changed? Dude, I didn't know those allegations. Those are heinous allegations. Have you changed?
Well, we have a
He's about to
nuanced
kick him off
relationship
of
with
the
the notion of
stage.
change in addiction. That we believe that you don't stop being an addict. That every day you've got to take your medicine. It's no different than being an epileptic. That once you know you have the disease, you've got to take your medication. But
A disease
any
of
day,
texting and sexting a
What
15-year-old
does
girl?
sending little children a text
I
message
did
in
all of these
epilepsy have?
things under the influence of an addiction that I still have.
What is that addiction?
I would carry on. I've talked about this a lot on the radio show, but not.
Well,
it's a little bit of a
didn't
hard
they
pivot
pass a law on people that
I would
abuse
carry on with
children
dozens and
overseas
dozens
not
and
too
dozens
long
and dozens of
ago?
people in something that I never met any of them, and in those dozens and dozens of interactions, some of them would be sexual.
The guy said, you think sending, dirty pictures and shit to a 15-year-old girl is a disease? What the fuck are you talking about, right?
He tried to compare it to fucking epilepsy.
Yeah. Well,
there's no difference.
What he's trying to do is he's trying to throw in addiction, okay? And he's wanting to get in that, this is a symptomatic of his addiction to sex and to his addiction to alcohol or whatever it else is. He never gets very specific with it. But this is the thing. They pinned him down on that. But I want to find this when he starts talking about the and he was defending the fucking these books in the schools too about
how shit he was.
Yeah, he was.
Guaranteed.
I'm not terribly concerned about that. If someone wants to ask me a specific question like you've asked me today, I'll be glad to answer it. But no, I'm not particularly concerned.
Have you
about
watched
that.
Sounds of Freedom, the movie?
I've read I don't want to walk into the same trap. I've read about it. What is it? I've read a lot of things about it.
I don't want to walk into the same trap.
Movie now.
Sounds of Freedom.
I'm Chris
I haven't
Hansen.
watched any movies, to be honest, but no,
Okay.
I don't.
Do you think, the stats they quote in Sounds of Freedom, which is as a father of four, you got one that's 11, about to be 12. I got an 11, 9, 7, and a 2-year-old. So the mindset of a father where once you have a kid, you're no longer in one place. You're always in two places. If you got 1, 3 places, 4 places, 5 places, so you're continuously everywhere.
Think about it. He's in all the
stat,
places he sends his pictures
20
to.
million new child pornography pictures have been uploaded on the internet the last 12 months. That's a 5,000% increase in the last 5 years. The fact that it's a $150 billion industry per year, pedophilia, human trafficking, the fact that you can sell cocaine once, but you can sell a 5-year-old child 5 to 10 times a day for 10 years, depending on what the age of the kid is. And that this is a crisis that is happening with minors around the world, with what's going on around the border right now, where kids are coming unaccompanied. This is a real issue. Do you see that as a top 5 crisis in America today?
It's a huge problem. I didn't know that's what the movie was about. It's a huge problem, but I'll go beyond that. I mean, there is a I don't want to get out over my skis, and it's probably $1 trillion industry around pornography of all types. That is completely, I see guys in these rooms.
I see guys in these rooms, meaning he's there.
Yeah, you want to take a guess at what that addiction that he has is then? Right? Okay.
Children?
Yeah. I mean, for
See,
crying-
how the fuck did he step into that one though? Is that what they pinned him down on?
Well, it's not hard when somebody's got all this shit. See, they started talking about something that's obviously an underlying hot button issue with him. So what he's trying to do in this part of the conversation right here is he's saying, so let's not just focus on the child, the CP. Let's look at all pornography. Well, yeah, I guess we could, but I mean, this seems to be a growing thing, and there's a problem. That's what
Well, let's talk about the child or the pornography that he sent, because that would be adult pornography to a minor.
Well,
so he is talking about the things that he knows about.
All right.
Whether or not he knows about more of it, I don't know. But if he's saying he's in those rooms having those conversations, I would say that he has experience.
Yeah, man. But see, this is the thing, and I'm kind of with Flow State on this. It's like, why would they even let this bird? Why is he even alive?
Why is he allowed to go on shows if he's actually this stupid and
he's got a radio show on AM radio?
See, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, if you're tied in with the Clintons and the Democratic Party, and you're this fucking stupid and loudmouth and creepy, nobody's gonna let you talk, right? Right?
Well, there again, that's what I have to look at. This guy is used to over talking and muscling his way into a conversation and changing the fucking flow of what's being talked about. I watched him do it all through. It's his tactic, right? And he trying like hell to minimize all this shit. And when they got to that fucking Clinton body count, man, I thought this guy was going to lose a gasket. I really did. I'm trying to remember where exactly that's at. I'll find it here, though. I will find it. In fact, I'm going to take that off of there so y'all don't hear it while I'm looking. Go ahead and talk amongst yourself.
Well, I've been watching that Surprise Witness with BJ. She's a lawyer that gave up that aspect of lawyering when she found out what all she had to do in that field. But she's been covering these twins out of California. And the girl on that case made some incredible accusations towards the lady that was holding her and using terms that would be known more in like that realm, let's call it that realm. Staging the house, she was calling it a production house. She was claiming that she was being forced to service men, and her mother was the one forcing it, and that her mother had taken all of her like her phone, her computer, everything, and that she has been trying to tell people for the last 2 years. So I think it's something more and more. And instead of, I mean, it was weird. The cops act very weird in the case. You have to go watch the videos she put up on the body cams.
What are you talking about?
It's these two girls that, I don't know, there was one that was kidnapped or one that went missing in California, and they put her out.
What do I search to find it later? Because I do want to look it up. I just don't know how to get there.
That Surprise Witness. Or
Thanks.
I think that's the one it was on today. Or she has several channels. She went through law school and stuff, but she's doing investigative reporting now. That's or what for the public. But yeah, let me flip over there to that and get some more.
All right, while you're doing that, let's watch this, because this is where he starts to fed in this shit. Really, this is sickening.
To pornography, and the idea that every time they're watching pornography, it's probably a human trafficked or someone who's been exploited or someone who's forced into these things. This is a huge problem writ large. I haven't seen the program, but it sounds, as a father, it sounds horrible.
But Anthony, you're not equivocating porn with child sex.
Which way did he look?
Well, what I'm saying is that
Why do you start doing that all the time, man?
Which way did he look? Did he look left or did he look right?
I don't know. Watch him again. Damn it, man.
It doesn't matter.
Let me see. Goddamn.
Sounds
But
horrible.
Anthony, you're not equivocating porn with child sex trafficking.
Well,
Are
what
you?
I'm saying is that I'm putting them in the same category. I'm putting them I'm putting them in the same
Porn,
category.
consensual sex.
Well, hold on a
porn
second. Hold on a second.
Versus child sex trafficking.
We have no idea. We have no idea about what consent people have given. Whether they, if you don't believe that porn is exploitive of people, then I mean, you and I have a different understanding. I'm not saying that all of it is. I'm not saying.
I highly disagree.
I'm not saying that all of it is, but I'm saying it's the same. It's the same general problem that we're looking at stuff that's going on all the time, relatively out in front of us, that we don't really are thinking about the way that it's corrosive to society.
Surely, children having sex is not the same thing as adult having sex.
That's true. That's surely true.
Okay, so that's sort of contradictory to what you just said.
No, I'm talking about. I'm expanding the conversation on something I don't know very much about to something I had more experience with.
I think the question was, do you think this is something that we should be worried about? Do you think it's a top 5 issues?
Way more than JFK's assassination. Way more. Way more.
I don't disagree. I absolutely agree. I think to me it's even more than top 5, but I agree in that area. How much you think we're doing to protect these kids? Because how often do we hear about people getting, caught? How often do you hear about, it happened at a massive scale? There's a lot of people that are getting away with this.
I'm not really an expert on it, and I didn't see the movie, but yeah, it sounds terrible. I mean, and the movie's getting an enormous amount of attention, so perhaps that's the fulcrum that is needed to get more done.
It is.
Really
it
trying
is.
to
Okay.
minds, man.
In regards to education,
this is good. Watch.
A lot of the kids from LA and a lot of the different districts from LA have reached out about, what's going on with their schools. It's the state of California, what books they're teaching. Rob, if you can go to valuetainment.com and then type in the word queer and go to the book, if you can, I'd love to get his thoughts on this. If you go to valuetainment.com and then type the word queer in search, parents are concerned about what's happening. I'll put it over here.
No, I'm good.
Concerned about what's going on with what their kids are being taught. You and I don't know how old you are. I think we're closer.
I'm 50. I'll be 59 in September.
You'll be 59? 59? Did he say 59?
You're about to be 60?
No, dude, easy. I'm going to be 59 in September. You're going to 60
sensitive
already.
about that.
Oh, I don't know if you know, 59 is right next to 60.
Very nice.
Okay,
very nice.
No.
I think
Very
he was
nice.
shocked. I think he's actually paying you a compliment.
No. There's no way. I thought we're the same age. I'm 44. I thought you're like in your late 40s. Okay. So they keep up with that because that's exactly what's going on in the state of California. So and Newsom came out with a video and he said, I can't even send you the clip on the video. It's like, we are not going to let them ban these books and they're doing what happened in these different
So let's
things.
take a step back here. Let's take a step back. We're a big country, a lot of teachers, a lot of school districts. We in this country, in our form of government, we ostentatiously keep education decisions close to home. That the education budget is like 4% in the federal government. The budget is tiny because the things that we're going to do, these determinations we're going to make about schools, we understand as a society, we want them made closer to home because they should reflect the values of their community. Not every community and every book and every school board and every library is going to do it exactly the way you and I would. But the $64,000 question or the 30,000 foot, whatever metaphor you want to use, is we can use these things to try to poke at this idea that the world's on fire and everything is destroyed and everything's wrong. Or we can say, listen, that classroom has a group of parents that can go to the principal and go to a school board. The last thing I want is someone like Ron DeSantis saying that I am going to decide. Or in Tallahassee, that's where the capital is of the state?
Yes.
Or in Tallahassee, we are going to decide what books parents or kids or teachers are going to teach. I don't believe politicians are that smart. I don't believe their values are so much better than the parents in my district are. And I think that the hardest thing for a politician to do is say, you know what? I'm not the best person to make this decision. The best person to make this decision, these people, and you know what? People are going to make mistakes. They're going to get things wrong. Do I want my son reading that book? No, but I don't know what we get at when we're trying to we're trying to make this suggestion that we're going to try to that you're talking about a state that is 3,000 miles away, and you're trying to draw some conclusion about some hard.
No, I skipped over it because I didn't want to get a strike. But the part of the book that he was showing about this book was teaching kids how to perform oral sex on one another. At 9 and 10 and 11 years old. And he's minimizing that to where, oh, well, I wouldn't want my kids to see it, but hey, that's what we have these school boards for. He's not been paying attention that people are going to these school boards and then they're put on list of domestic terrorists because they objected to it. Are you shitting me? So this guy is like all in, man.
I mean, my first blowjob was not especially good, so that might be helpful.
The grassroots, I think that's the name of the channel. They've been covering those that garbage and the books and stuff that are in the libraries at schools now and allowed to be there. That one's a hot topic.
I tried to bring fucking Playboy to school back when I was younger, and they were not having it. I'd be just fine nowadays.
How long were you suspended for?
How long were you suspended for?
I was just a permanent resident.
I was in a class where the teacher was a pedophile, so they just gave him a slap on the wrist, made him resign, and let him move on to another place where nobody knew what he'd done. Still pisses me off to this day.
All right, there we go. I found it. We'll get into that here in just a minute. Who'd I lose?
Flow State's bitch ass left.
Who else, son of a bitch? So I got this queued up, and I'll pull it up here in just a minute. This is where he starts getting asked about the Clintons and shit, and he about fucking loses his mind over the shit. Pretty good. But anyway, what'd you think about that eclipse information that I put up, Dreamy?
Oh, I didn't see it.
You didn't? Oh,
no.
Shit.
I'm kind of behind right now.
Oh my! Well, you'll have to go back and watch that later, and then let me know what you think.
I will.
Great job, Slacker.
The one with the ratios that blows it right out of the water right there. It totally blows it right out of the water. But anyway, I'm going to watch this here real quick, and then I'll pull up some more fakery of the shit for brain people. That we like to call.
I'm wondering if I'm on the right planet. Something happened somewhere along the way.
Planet? What's that? What's a planet?
Well, wherever we're living in this realm.
Yeah. Listen, I've been into some serious fucking shit with some of these people on Twitter, man. It cracks me up because I'm like, when I get them into that whole thing, this is what really obscures them hard, man. They can't deal with it. Is when you bring up the idea that there's no such thing as a ball of gas in a vacuum, then that's when all the scrambling and excuses start happening right there.
That point is like a nail in the coffin.
For lack of a better word, I just call it a planet in general, but yes, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
and I don't believe I live on a ball spinning around in the water sticking some kind of magic, to it.
Well, they say that the sun is made out of hydrogen, right? It's all this hydrogen collected together into a big bubble for some reason, and became so big that it made nuclear fusion happen in the inside of it, and so that's why it's on fire or whatever. And I'm like, that is like the stupidest shit in the world. How does a ball of gas even form in a void, man? There's
exactly.
And also, how does it continuously burn for so? It seems like no matter how big it is, it's going to ignite, right?
Right.
Like a bomb, right? Just explode.
Right.
Yeah.
They got all kinds of excuses for it. Well, its own mass is what's holding it in, and blah 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 blah. Gravity and fucking parallaxial refractive gravitational poo-poo and unicorn farts and whatever else. It's like, God damn it, man. Y'all just come up with fucking excuses for everything. They just make up shit.
And this is when you start. Good.
I love getting these guys, and it's like, well, how in the world does this occur like that? Well, maybe it's because, and it's now we're at, well, maybe. We're gonna start just speculating fucking shit.
And you're right. On Google Earth, the North Pole is gone. It's not there no more. I went and doubled. I was going out there looking because I was looking up that thing in Scotland, that the dragon that was on Dutch Sense. And so I went and looked at that, but then I started looking at other things on there, and there is no North Pole. There's no more frozen North Pole up there.
Nope.
Mandela got us again.
I know.
I mean, isn't that incredible?
They slowly removed it over 500 years, man.
They were finally melted. They've been telling you guys.
I got some shit about that North Pole. I'll show here in a little bit. It's pretty.
But you wouldn't stop driving and just eat the bugs.
Yeah, I know, right? The climate. Oh no, listen. They're hiding shit. They really are. There's
hey,
being hid.
Okay, I don't know where everyone's at, but here in Kansas City, I guarantee we are not having the hottest summer on record. What's everybody else's temperature like this year?
Same here, man.
About normal for here. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so it's about normal. I mean, we had a cool spring, but we've had temperatures up.
So Appalachia, smack dab, right? That's where Dave's at. Smack dab center of the country and West Coast. So we got straight across the whole U.S. Everybody's like, it's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing. In fact, I would say that we're having less hot days than
we've been hot and dry.
Yeah,
we've been hot and humid.
We've been getting a lot of rain, man.
We
don't normally get much rain.
The heat index for this week is right around 105, 110.
Where are you at?
Minnesota.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty hot for there, isn't it?
Huh?
That's pretty hot for you up there, isn't it?
Fuck yeah, dude. I'm dying out here.
It's 86 degrees up here right now where I'm at.
But it'll go in spurts. Like
it's 7:44 p.m. just for, time of day and temperature.
Shit, I got 66 degrees here today.
Fuck, 88 here at a quarter till 10.
So you we're getting less global warming in Virginia than you are in Kansas, apparently.
Well, one of the things that I notice is the sun feels hotter, and there's a big but in there. They spray our skies so much with that, it's got to filter through the clouds. And I don't know if any of y'all get sunburns, but I'm really pale and pink and white, I guess you call me. But anyways,
rock lobster.
Yeah, I turn into a lobster in the shade, and also I get worse sunburns when it's cloudy than when it is sunny and no clouds.
Interesting.
Yes, I found that to be interesting. It dawned on me the other day because I was standing outside checking my chickens, and I mean, that was when it was up at close to 100, and I was like, dang, it just was stinging my skin, and that is not something that I used to experience as a child or anything like that. More recently, and when the clouds, whenever I look up and it's real hazy, and
it's really easy to explain what's actually going on with that. There's this thing, it's called gravity. It is the answer for everything.
The clouds down out of the sky if gravity's a thing.
Right.
I want them damn clouds to land.
My favorite is crepuscular rays.
I don't know what that is, but I love that word, crepuscular. It sounds infected.
It is infected. It's infected with straight lines. So when the sun is above the clouds and it's above you,
right,
and it shines down through the clouds in specific places,
like when Jesus is being painted,
right, and it gives you the perspective of the sun shining down and gives you triangulation points. If you can see, or if you can figure out where those sunspots are, that plus that equals that.
Well,
type deal.
I think that it may just cause the UV rays or whatever, but the heat intensifies definitely.
I think a lot of it has to do with what we're eating or what we're not eating.
Interesting.
Well, I'm not eating.
I had somebody tell me
on the platter.
I had somebody try to tell me one day that plumb lines were not parallel. I was like, "You're full of fucking shit."
Oh,
Plumb
wow.
lines?
Did they say they were circles?
What's that?
Did they say they were circles?
No, I said that they don't. They're going converging in toward the middle of the earth.
I learned that when I was really little because my dad had this crazy little tool in his toolbox, and it was pointy and it was on a string. And I one time was playing with it, and I asked my dad what it was, and he told me it was a plumb bob.
Yep.
So I asked him what it did. So I mean, you can't tell me that some grown adult, doesn't know what plumb is unless they've never heard the term ever in their life, and then they would be asking what it is and not telling you what it is.
Right.
Well, that means if I do a really long fence, do I need to calculate the curvature in my saw cutting over the expanse?
Hell yes, you're gonna
I
have.
don't know, but I can tell you this: I've made bridges in concrete, and we do not factor in the curve of the earth for a concrete bridge. So I can tell you that.
Come on! You sure you do? The riverbed is off kilter by 0.00001, and that's why you pound it 3 times on one side and 4 times on the other
to get extra air, that entrained air. I got you, man. You're right. Yep.
I'm fucking on it, dude.
They did tell us to smack the right side more than the left side. It's crazy, dog. The earth is round.
Yep. That's exactly it. You're trying to get the air bubbles, but the
Dude,
ones they
if
want to
the earth
keep.
is round, that means Dave's in space.
I am.
He is in space.
I am. I'm up
I want to live where Dave lives. I mean, that looks pretty cool. Space station, all those little buttons.
In pure imagination.
Until you need to go to the bathroom. That's all I'll say. You're
Because
crashing.
why? Because you trip over cords everywhere trying to run there, or because it all floats back up in your face?
All of the above.
All of the above. It all sucks. It's all no good. It's never
You
gonna
could
work.
hook up to a hose and stick it.
Or because one of the other dudes masturbated last night and a little blob of sperm accidentally wobbled over and hit you on the face.
That's gross.
Yes, that's it.
It's hard to clean up everything, apparently. Isn't there a rule? One of you fuckers was telling me about a rule that they're not allowed to masturbate up there or something.
Right. Yeah. They're not allowed to have any alone time so that they don't masturbate. And because
we just dispose of it into the one female up here with us.
Yeah, right. Well, it's certainly because his sperms will float around in the 0G and could get one of the female astronauts pregnant. This ain't no shit.
That would be okay. The bigger threat is if one hit. Like, can you imagine how furious you'd be if you touched somebody's jizz floating through the air?
Right.
God damn, I'm getting mad just thinking about it. I would fuck somebody up. I would pop a hole in the space station and kill us all.
It'd be like they call that the 0G money shot, right? It's like, no, you can't do that shit, man. Come on. It's like, let me see. What's this? No.
They'll have to send a reconnaissance crew to the space station, like in Alien, the first one. Like, what happened here? Where's the crew? Like, find out later. Some nut hit Taylor. He killed everybody.
Well, I have a question for everybody. They keep. Maybe it's what I'm watching, but you keep seeing artifacts and they have the hieroglyphs and all this other stuff. Well, what are people going to say about all this graffiti that they call it? That's what they call it nowadays, graffiti. What are people going to be saying in 1,000 years when they see all that garbage? I mean, is that going to be the new history that they're going to find, and use? Oh, look what we found. We found a wall. It's been covered up with trees. And here, look at all these pictures. You know what I mean?
Right.
It seems like every time we turn around, they're coming up, because what we learned in the 60s, 70s, 80s, now that's just all rubbish. And they got this new stuff coming out about, the old stuff. And they're hiding a lot of old stuff while they're bringing out the new stuff. It's very crazy.
Let me see if
If the system ever goes down, I'm so glad I'm a Gen Xer, because I actually know how to play outside without this little box.
I know, right?
Throw beer bottles at cars. That's how you play.
Right.
I am so glad that I didn't just let my kids sit with the TV, because even now they like to go out, hiking, go rock hunting, go out into nature, camping, do things.
They're getting high.
Well, of course, but that's they're not sitting on a freaking computer drooling in their lap over a bag of potato chips.
Yeah, good point. I mean, that is definitely the
And
ideal.
while up there in the mountains, they don't have any connection to the rest of the world. They have no.
They're not going to run into cops. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm talking about their phones and stuff have service up there in the mountains where they go hang out.
It sounds like a Jason Aldean song.
So I mean, they get away from it all. They don't just be stuck in this.
There you go, and I'll put this in the private chat too over here. This is a link. I just put a link to the video about the astronauts not being able to beat the bishop while they're up in space.
Yeah, and Flow State, I left the link to that video I was talking about. There's two of them. I put the link to the first one in chat on YouTube.
The sperm would make a 1 in a million shot like Luke Skywalker and make multiple transgender.
Well, I'm with Flow
babies
State.
at once.
I'm with Flow State on that. I'd be really pissed off if I randomly got pregnant by somebody.
Well, that right there, that's just a NASA.
That's
Hold on, that's a NASA equivalent to I got pregnant from the toilet seat.
Oh wow, yeah,
it is. I mean,
True.
think about that. It's
Yeah.
it's the same thing, just minus the toilet seat, because they don't have a toilet seat. They have this little bucket with a suction hose that they sit on, and they have this thing suck the poop out.
It shop vacs it straight out your bum hole.
Yeah, man.
That's amazing.
I know.
That's all I ever wanted. Do they still have to wipe?
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Not if they get the seal tight on that vacuum on that shop vac. If they get that thing seated just right and and the seal's tight, there's no air leaks or nothing.
They could use a shark bite.
They could conceivably have a zero contact poo.
It's possible.
Oh.
We call that the ghost drop.
A shark bite.
They're using those. They're eating that fucking nasty.
No, how would the shark bite? I see what you're saying. The shark bite wouldn't work. No, that's violent. That's graphic.
Here we go. Okay.
No, a shark bite, but you replace the shark bite every time, and it has a soft side and a bite side.
Yeah.
What about just like a hose clamp with a nice soffit?
All right, so check this out. As Peter points out, a $30 million space toilet. Check this out.
I'm glad that we solved this situation, though. Good job, Nubs.
To the bathroom in 0G.
Hey, Ray J, what's going on?
And of course, the answer I always give is very carefully.
Oh yeah, everybody goes in and shit.
Well, that's the potty, space potty. The space potty, yes.
So everything in space seems more difficult than it is on Earth. I bet the bathroom's no different.
It's no different. Well, hygiene is very, very important in space. You want to keep the spaceship nice and clean. You want to keep everybody healthy. So you want to make sure you know what you're doing when you go to the toilet.
No Taco Bell.
This is our toilet seat, and this is our urinal hose. And this allows us to learn how to use the toilet in space and to even practice using the toilet. This is an actual working toilet.
COVID would have sucked.
What's happening is a vacuum going on inside of there, and it's evacuating the air and setting up a vacuum inside of there.
The hose is flexible, but it needs to be pretty smart
Nobody
to
can
adjust
foresee
the
how
remote
this might not be used according to his intention.
Suction is the key, it sounds like.
Look at that dude
So
say.
that the material gets taken away
He had a
into the
shit-eating
commode
grin,
and
didn't
doesn't
he?
create a problem in the cabin.
What happens if the
So one
space
thing that
station
helps
gets
us is our
pregnant by a
checkers. Why don't you,
homunculi?
read off these items here, and if it says a check, just tell me check.
Check fan sep, same as hose block.
Hose block says sep
I
1, so I'm
mean-
going to put the fan sep to sep 1.
What are those straps so they can
Mode is
strap
auto.
themselves
Check Cradle
in?
auto.
Yeah,
Cradle
man.
is auto.
Holy
Unstow
Pete.
hose and install urinal funnel.
Okay, so
They just got an airline hanging down right there by the toilet.
these are our urinal funnels. We have two types. This is for little girls. This is for little boys. We don't share these things. You use your own. You stick to your own. We got to install the funnel on the hose.
So he's holding
Now
it
what's next?
somebody else's.
Urinate.
Ew.
So to recap,
I hope he
that's
washed
3
his
switches,
hands.
2 different gender funnels, and finally, number 1 is a go.
Seems pretty complicated.
You think so?
Yeah.
They ain't seen
I
nothing yet.
think
That was
that's
only number 1.
bullshit.
Uh-oh.
Number 2 is even more complicated.
Look at their smirks. They're both got Tupper's delight.
We have a
That's what I'm
special
saying.
trainer
They're full of
behind
shit.
you to help you get the right position on this toilet seat. This is one of the deepest, darkest
Now,
secrets.
keep in
of
mind
mass.
what this thing
No one
looks
knows
like, and
about
then I'm
this
going to
stuff.
show you another one where they're showing the one on the space station.
Wow. Just a
Yeah.
camera.
There is a camera, and there is a TV over here. This is for alignment practice.
Oh, for fuck's
This
sake.
is targeting practice only. And the hole
It's a
you're
good thing
aiming
we're
for in
all
that toilet is
sarcastic
much
kind
smaller
of
than what
people
we're
because,
used to.
Because the hole at the bottom is so small,
yeah.
you have to be in the right spot. If you miss,
But why would they make the hole so small compared to the toilet? Hold on, pause it. Because that doesn't make any sense at all. It takes up the same amount of real estate.
It doesn't make any. None of it makes any sense.
No, none. It doesn't.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean,
They're taking pictures of you pooping.
you,
Who does that?
you know that motherfucker. You know that motherfucker's going to abuse that suction hose. You know he will.
Well, that's why they've got the overhead airline quick connect so that
The universe is those people over there because both of them are smirking, laughing, giggling, chuckling. They ain't being serious.
I still love the airline is my favorite. They're just putting random ass hardware around places like, this looks industrial.
Well, that's because you work in that kind of environment where you know that's some bullshit because that shit doesn't happen for
Right.
specific reasons.
And they work in Hollywood. They're like, this is some stuff that does stuff.
Airline.
We need a red glowing tube that blinks, man.
These are machines and tools. Yeah, put that by the toilet. Make it look extra spacey.
With this ketchup.
We need some light. Put some lights in.
Instead of running the airline behind the wall that's solid for once.
We need to leave some cans of blaster laying around so we really look like we're working hard.
Yeah. Bring some fuck. I know this is some craziness.
A couple months back, there was this commercial for a lawyer, and it's this lady named Roz, and she's like, "Hi, I'm Roz, and I'm here and they've got this car in the background, and it looks like it's smoking." The second time I watched it, you can see the smoke machine and you can see the car is rusted. So what do? Call the fuck in. I can see your smoke machine and your car is already rusted. It's not very probable. Like within a week, you didn't see the commercial anymore. And it was like one of those ones where you couldn't turn on the TV without seeing it like 8 times in like 3 minutes.
So check this out. He's going to go and talk. He's going to go into how they take a dump. So we already they made an impossibly small target Again, like Luke Skywalker, you know, the hole's only the size of a womp rat, so he's going to be trying to shit on a womp rat, you know.
And do somewhat of a simulation.
Well, I hope they don't
And
show
we're going
it.
to simulate
I don't believe
point of
they
view
will.
with this little smiley face circle that you see right here. So I will now turn my back, and you can, of course, keep the camera rolling on him. But I'm going to turn my back, and you can put that where you think it belongs. Did you put it there yet?
Yep.
All right, feel the body position,
Got
but
it.
make it so everything's. You rushing it off or something? You don't like it on there, do you?
People are knocking on the door, you know.
Go down the hall. You want to try to align that target in the right spot.
I'm not sure this is a view I really want to see of
It's
myself.
potty training.
You know, to be an astronaut, to survive space, you gotta do this kind of stuff.
Yes, there's a price you have to pay to get to space and survive, and you're paying it right now.
Sitting down correctly also creates an airtight seal, allowing suction to take your deposit through a tube at the
What did I say about
bottom of a
airtight
small
seals?
bag that's then put into the trash.
All right, I'm strapped in, lined up. I guess I know what comes next.
Time to concentrate.
What if I need?
That's
He's strapped in.
Yeah, he's strapped in, ready to buckle down and blow some.
Where's his mouth guard? I didn't see him bite his mouth guard.
That comes later.
He's gonna blow his colon right on up. So here's the real one, though. This is kind of fucking crazy. So you just saw what that is what they got on the ISS, and this is where'd that go? Oh, I took it away. I took it away. Now I gotta change it. There we go. So this is what the ESA's got you going with.
Hello, and welcome to the toilet of the International Space Station. Let's say you're up here on ISS.
No, that doesn't look anything like what that other guy showed us, does it?
That looks like a prison toilet.
I mean,
It is. It is. It basically, isn't it?
It's
Stainless steel. Yeah.
Beer keg.
No, that's
Looks like
titanium, dude.
Looks like a beer keg with a PVC thing stuck on top of it.
That's what jail toilets are like. They suck the air out of the room, though. You cannot clog one.
You want to come to this cabin, and the first thing you want to do is grab this piece of equipment and turn this rotary switch 90 degrees to the open position. What that does is it turns on a fan, which creates a suction effect in this hose so that you can use this yellow element for your number one. For number two, the principle is actually exactly the same, suction. We have a solid waste container here, and on top of it is this seat. And the solid waste container is connected via this hose to the same fan.
Now, where's all the little? Remember those things that guy put on his legs to hold his ass against the thing and create the seal and all that? That's not here anymore.
Where's the airline?
Okay. So this is kind of not. Somebody's fucking lying.
Is that a ratchet strap on her left side?
What, right here?
Yes.
I don't know. That looks
That's
like
your seatbelt.
It kind of looked like a ratchet strap to me.
It's just some random strings hooked together in there. That's all that is. It's not doing anything. It's just going from down here up to here.
That's the pulley system that's going to pull you off of that thing once it's suction to it.
What's the thing on the top?
What are these handles for? Is that what you grab hold of? Come the fuck
Well,
out here.
The gray one is that's pipe insulation, but it doesn't look like it's attached to a pipe at the bottom.
Right.
Yeah. It just looks like that. Yeah, exactly. That shit that's split that you can put around your
And on the left, just past the blue vertical thing, we got the silver one to the left of it. Yeah, that's steel. That's just a bracket attached with a bunch of there's carabiners attached to it, right? Carabiners and ropes.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about that is the handle itself is more robust than the thing it is attached to.
Right. Those are just like those things you put those bracket shelves up with.
That's exactly what they look like. They got a discount at Lowe's.
And there's a lot of cracks in where it's riveted together too on the walls.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know, right up here.
You see that there's some air gaps in there.
No, gravity takes care of that.
Oh, yeah, probably they got probably suction for that too.
What's this thing up here for?
That's a mattress pad. We don't know how it got there.
Mattress pad. That's the baby changing
And beside
station.
it, there's a Ziploc bag with one hand towel.
They're going in there and taking a dump. Then this is no fucking way. Get out of here.
And what is that? A clock with two kittens above at the
allows you
top?
to do your number 2 in weightlessness. I want to show you how it looks, but since we don't want any bad smells to come out, we're gonna
Here comes the
turn on the fan.
snake.
Okay, what is the
gonna be a
white
little bit
code
loud.
for?
There we go.
So that's
Now you can
keep
lift
bad
the
smells
lid.
out.
There is this
What
seat that
the
sort of
hell
looks
kind of
comfortable, but you
molesting?
don't really see it in
Where's the
certain-
camera?
Well, look at the raised ring. How are you going to get a seal with your butt cheeks on that?
You know how.
That's a big hole too.
Yes, it is. But you're the bigger hole.
But your ass crack wouldn't allow you to have a fucking seal on that, man.
It will once you get your astronaut training done. The astronaut training done. You'll fit right over that.
I mean, we're all familiar with the mechanics behind taking a shit. I mean, let's see. Does any of this work? Let's
Not all of us are familiar with it. Apparently,
Well, I mean, it's something we all do all the time. You know,
yeah, but when you go to
familiar with how
space,
it
all
works.
of that changes in the concept of, you know, suction.
You don't get that gravity drop, that one where it gets past that breaking point.
That's why you roll yourself on like a condom.
where it just kind of pulls itself on out. You know, it gets to that one halfway point, like where it's just past.
You guys are childish.
You wouldn't have that up there because there's no gravity.
I'd
right?
rather be childish, slow state than a
It's all
computer
push.
idiot.
It's all push, which means that you would have to have a very soft diet. You see?
Well, remember they just eat that freeze dried stuff in those little bags.
It's all push, but space is a vacuum, so there's no atmosphere to resist it. Think about it.
Well,
It
do
could-
they have? Is there maybe there's an ass vacuum in this thing or something? Let's keep watching.
Well, that's what it is.
It's got an ass.
So most of us actually prefer to lift this one as well and use directly the opening that goes into the bag. And in fact, there is a bag in there. It looks
That would
like
hurt.
this. And when we are done with our business, we close the bag and we push it down into the solid waste container. And then, of course, as a courtesy to the next person, we put a new fresh bag inside.
She can't keep a straight face neither.
The solid waste
That's
container
the weightlessness.
gets changed when it's full, which is roughly every 10 days for 2 or 3 people using it.
I thought that
This
was
one,
the
for example,
gravity.
was installed on the 61st
No, that's
day
why
of
her
this
hair
year.
moves.
So probably roughly around day 71, we will have to change it again. But urine gets recycled. So from the pretty complicated hydraulic equipment that is behind here and makes the use of the toilet in space possible, the urine actually gets directly transferred to another piece of equipment, which is here
Why
on the
didn't that
floor, which
bounce
is called
off of
UPA,
whatever and
urine
come back and
processing
hit her in the
assembly,
fucking
which
head?
is the first step into turning urine into potable water.
They turn their pee into water. They turn it back to the water.
That's just gross.
So are the Americans drinking the Europeans' pee?
I guess.
Apparently.
Do they have multiple bathrooms up there?
No, just that one. What do you think? It's the mall? It's not the mall up here.
How do they carry all the energy and everything that they need to make all this so-called suction
Gravity.
work?
Gravity.
Oh, well, if they can make gravity make electricity up there, why can't they do it here?
Airlines is the
Gravity.
secret. As long as you got compressed air going to all parts of the space station, it'll do the things, right? The mechanical things.
Except for the vacuum in the toilet. That's how they get the compressed air.
Don't overthink it. That's the key to everything. That's what holds everything together on the space station is you don't overthink it.
Yeah, that you can't. If you start to think about it, then it won't make sense, and then you'll have to come to the conclusion that shit's not real, and we can't have that. Yeah,
You're not overthinking, are you?
I'm still concerned about them walls not being very well sealed where the rivets are because
Well, now, she said there was hydraulic.
gaps.
She said there was hydraulic equipment behind those panels, so it wouldn't be necessary for there to be a seal, so to speak.
And all they need to do is put some fucking mylar across it, and that mylar will seal it up. You can travel at the speed of sound.
Well, here's my question. Okay, you have this bag that's down in this little hole. Okay.
Somebody went camping.
Now, what makes your turds go down into the bag? And don't tell me there's a vacuum, because you just fucked that up with a bag.
Projectile force.
All right. So you would have to really like bear down. All right. These first couple I want down in the bottom of the bag. So I'm going to have to use all my might. I'm going to have to
Look, it's velocity, viscosity, and stickiness. And those three things work together to keep it in the bag.
Jesus Christ. You slip up, don't tie it good enough or something.
I want to see the Chinese toilet.
And who's got to be the one that empties that? All right. So they never did say what they do with it. They've got all these little baggies of poop in there every 10 days, and they have to change it.
Nose goes. I heard nose goes is how they suss that out.
Where they just toss it out into space. There's little bags of poop flying around out in space. Maybe those beautiful, maybe one night, that beautiful.
Look, a satellite.
Oh, look, a falling star, Daddy. Make a wish. No, never mind. It's just a bag of
SpaceX.
space shit.
Elon Musk is such a hero. He's so smart.
God,
the fecophiliacs are gonna just be happier than a fucking lark if that shit comes through their house.
This meteor is so hot.
They're like Joe Dirt with his fucking space. Nope, it's Dookie. There's what we call a Bowen bomb. You can tell by the peanut in the side. That's a space peanut. It's like, no.
The things they want us to believe are just so outlandish at times.
Y'all motherfuckers need Jesus. That's all I have to say.
I know, because if you believe in Jesus, you won't pay attention to what's going on around you.
Who's cutting their fucking hair up there, man? They're up there for months. Do you realize what a funk farm that place would be? All they can do is these little bird baths of trying to what? Where are they getting the water for that? Oh, that's right. It's recycled piss. Well, what happens to that water? Good God, that's just,
I mean, anybody who's been to jail knows how gross that place is. And you get a shower at least once a week in the worst place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing makes sense because they stay up there for months. Where do they fuel up to come home? Where did they buy their groceries? Or, I mean, you stop and think about it. They got to take a lot of shit with them. Think what you take on a weekend camp out.
Right.
Gravity is
there
the
for
answer.
months.
Yeah.
Gravity is the answer.
Oh, take gravity and stuff it.
Well, that's another one that I try to point out to them, because all the time they want to use gravity.
And now
And you say, well, what is gravity? And they say it's what pulls everything down. Okay, so the effect cannot be the cause. What is causing that? That's when they get fucking tripped up, because they can't tell you. They tell you, oh, it's mass attracting mass. Oh, okay. So tell me, how's that work? How exactly does that work?
Haven't you noticed all the dust always accumulates at the sides of the TV from across the stand?
No.
Oh, I guess. But that's how gravity would work, right?
That's how it should work. The largest piece of furniture should grab the majority of the dust. You see, that's just it's a ridiculous idea.
The static electricity is actually what draws it to your TV and your computer and things like that have electrical currents going.
You wouldn't have to
say, they actually say that gravity can bend light. Well, how much is light? What's the mass of light? What is is there a weight Does a photon have an atomic weight?
I mean, if you get down to it, light weighs about the same as everything, right? Because everything is made up of energy waves.
Well, light's really heavy. I mean,
It's also really light.
Think
It
about
must
it.
be if gravity can bend it.
I don't understand physics.
The sun falls down to the ground all the time. We're in its light all the time when it's daytime, right? So it's
Right.
falling down because gravity's pulling those sun rays right off of it down to
That's got to be what it is.
us.
That's got to be what it is.
Yep, gravity's sucking the light rays down. On the moon too.
Yeah, man, that's what's the gravity of the moon is pulling the light from the sun to it. You see, that's what's going. You know, and that makes as much fucking sense as the rest of this shit that they say. So they ascribe a fucking effect and cause as the same goddamn thing, and then and they don't understand it. They don't know what's causing it. They don't know nothing, right?
But I mean, it's still less of a fucking joke of an explanation than they're not alive, but we need to kill them, and they reproduce.
Right, exactly. I know exactly.
And they look like little spiky robots.
Yeah.
Well, they say the ozone. Okay, if it's gravity. Well, if it's they say that the ozone, if there's enough of it, it causes particles to fall down through the air.
Astronaut.
I'm just saying, that's just another one of their stories.
Oh yeah, they're full of them. They're full of these stories. So that's a good question too. So now, if you've got to have a seal on your butt in the toilet in there, okay, how do you wipe your ass without breaking the seal?
There was no ass wiping instructions on the European video. I want to see the Russian video and the Chinese video, because aren't they both up there too?
I guess. I don't know if the Chinese poop though. I don't think they do. They're not in space. They're not allowed to.
No, that's Xi Jinping.
Yeah, but the Chinese astronauts have been given strict orders that they're not to defecate in space.
So really no alone time.
Yeah,
I mean, they burn their food at 100% efficiency, so they don't have to poop.
Well, here's another thing that it's kind of overlooked with that whole little story of sucking your poop into a bag. Okay, so if you could achieve like
sounds like recreation to me,
right?
Sounds like a road trip.
If you actually could do this, and it was a result of your ass cheeks forming a seal, so that there is this vacuum to suck your poop down into this bag. Now, how do you wipe? Because you'll have to break that seal. And if you have
that's what the crack is for.
If you have a content that's under vacuum pressure, and then you normalize that vacuum pressure, wouldn't the shit inside there have a tendency to want to escape that vacuum? So as soon as you pulled your butt cheeks off of the fucking toilet, then to wipe or whatever, however you're going to do this, unless they have an automatic wiper thing in there. But, you have broken that seal. So now you got like this.
They don't shower, they don't wipe.
The automatic wiper is like the motion sensors at a Walmart toilet, and sometimes it just goes off randomly and surprises you.
Maybe their pee actually goes into be a bidet as well.
Oh, too funny.
Bidets. There's something that's, I don't know, probably a good idea, but my American ass just ain't used to it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. People aren't used to it because there's people in other countries that think that use a piece of paper. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Which makes sense, right? They're not wrong. However, I've tried a bidet and it was just, I don't know what I expected, but a cold jet of water up my butt was startling nevertheless.
The gay bar does not count.
How
many times have I told you this?
What doesn't count?
The gay bar.
Yes, it does. It does too.
It's almost if the spray, if it's got enough pressure behind it, it becomes aqua sodomy, and so you got to be real careful with that. It's but I can imagine that's a real eye opener, especially in the morning. You just got up, you got to go in there and take care of your constitutional. You're done, and it's like, all right, wake the rest of the way the fuck up. Bwah! cold water right in the bunghole, you know. It's definitely gonna, but I guess it would be a good way to clean the balloon knot off.
But you do definitely want to take the spray nozzle off first and just use your thumb to shoot it a little harder.
They're still going to have to get off the pot. That's why I said that one thing that y'all was talking about, the ropes on the side look like a pulley. Someone's going to have to pull them. They're going to be having to be suctioned to it. They're going to have help getting off it.
That was for the next scene.
Somebody amped up the fucking vacuum and it pulled their butthole inside out. You know, they're like got a little dent in the top of their head from it.
Oh, I don't need that kind of description. My brain just got exploded here.
See it, motherfucker's eyes
crossed. That's what he's talking about. That's exactly what he's talking about.
No.
Think about it. When you sit on the toilet too long because you're sitting on the toilet too long because you're being lazy or whatever.
Because you're on a live stream.
Right. You get that ring around your butt anyways. you get that ring. And it's like that I was suction, but there was no actual suction. It's just gravity. Yeah. The gravity ring.
There it is. But no, I mean, I'm seeing, you know, a lot of problems with that, you know, just even on a basic, everything from basic hygiene to that, you know, I'm seeing some serious problems with. I don't know how in a weightless environment you're going to keep water absolutely 100% contained, especially when you this woman showing how you wash your hair in space. And this water's just like floating away from her hair, you know, errantly going around amongst all these wires and electronics and shit that are out here. I mean, it's like, is anybody really taking this serious? You know, they're just so mesmerized by the idea that, oh, look, they're in space. You know, and all I've seen them do for what they've been up there, 30 years now? Back and forth?
Yeah, in an auto class, and when you're working on cars, you don't want to wear jewelry and rings and stuff. It gets tangled up. You could be a goner or seriously hurt. So why would they do it in space where they could seriously be goners?
Oh, I know. They would be too quickly. I mean, there's just the impossibility of that thing even existing in the type of environment that we're told that it actually exists in is beyond ridiculous. It is just totally beyond ridiculous.
So what's your idea on what they are trying to distract us from with all that bullshit?
Well, I think it's going to become pretty apparent. One, you got to look at the idea of this entire system that we live under is based in artificial scarcity. And I think that most importantly, what they are doing is, you know, hey, there's nowhere for you to go. You're just going to have to put up with it. There is no other place you can go. If you did, it would take you 100 years to get there at light speed, all this other fucking bullshit, right? Whereas if there were hiding extra land, more terra, resources, places where people could go and not have to tolerate this control system that we live under, that kind of thing, it would be detrimental completely to their entire system. They've got this thing running it like a fucking prison.
Yeah.
And they don't want the prisoners to know that there's anything beyond the fucking edge of the prison.
Right.
See? So they've set up a deadline or a demarcation line, and you're not allowed to go past that. Civil War is where they got that term deadline from. At the prison camps, the prisoners were allowed to freely walk any place they wanted to within that area. But there was a line. And if you crossed that line, you could be shot. And so that became known as the deadline or the limit as far as you can go. See?
Right.
So just interesting little piece of trivia. Is this yeah. Let me put
That's
this.
fucked up because of how they attribute it to business now.
I think they don't want people to know how powerful they are collectively as well as independently. We really are more powerful than some people think.
So there's a thing about the North Pole. This is pretty interesting. Watch this.
We have all been programmed to believe that there is no land at the North Pole. Just a bunch of ice sheets, nothing to see here. What if I told you that this is far from the truth? Not only is the North Pole home to the most exceedingly high mountain in the world, Mount Zion, the mountain of God, which is spoken about all throughout the Bible, it is also home to paradise, the Garden of Eden, which is still here to this day. Now prepare for a big awakening. This is one of the first ever maps created of the North Pole in the 1500s. I want you to focus on the middle here. You have a mountain with a river coming out of it, and then you have 4 rivers coming out of that river in the middle. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. So you have the river flowing out of Eden, which is directly under Mount Zion, and you have the 4 rivers parting from that one big river. A lot of people think that God took the Garden of Eden to heaven, but why would he be guarding it with cherubims and a flaming sword if it was in heaven? Now back to the map, that mountain in the middle, it is called the Rupus Nigra. It's straight from Wikipedia. Rupus Nigra means black rock. Rupus Nigra is a black rock magnetic mountain located at the North Pole. Funny how the biggest investment company in the world is BlackRock. They know the truth. Not to mention, Rupus Nigra is 33 French miles wide. Remember who loves the number 33? The Freemasons. So soon after this map came out, the map started looking like this. Unknown region. What is that? Here's your NASA satellite footage. Just a couple of big black holes in the center. Oh, nothing to see here. So here I am in Psalm 48. Look what it says here. City of our God and the mountain of his holiness, beautiful for situation. The joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, because it's in the center of the earth, on the sides of the north. So this mountain is the joy of the whole earth, and it is in the north. Look what it says here. Beautiful for situation. Beautiful for situation. The biblical usage is the elevation, the height. This is an exceedingly high mountain. It's not the Mount Zion, which is in Jerusalem, which is only 2,500 feet high. That's a foothill. That mountain was named after the real Mount Zion. And the devil taking him up into an high mountain, he showed Jesus all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. Where did he take him? He took him to the exceedingly high mountain in the middle of our earth, in the North Pole. Now here's even more proof. This is a live view of the wind finder at the North Pole. What is that big old thing there blocking the wind? Guys, Mount Everest cannot even divert the wind. But there's something here at the North Pole that is diverting the wind. If y'all want a part 2 of this series, let me know in the comments. And if you guys are looking to be part of a community of people who know these truths, with myself included, we're going to be having weekly calls in my Discord. Go click the link in my bio and join right now. Peace. We have...
So I thought that was fairly interesting. There's a part 2 to it too. This is it right here.
Oh shit, my mic's been on the whole time. Could you guys hear that helicopter that flew by?
No.
It was super low.
It's probably looking for you, man.
They can't find me.
This is part 2. Like I mentioned, we have all been programmed to believe that there is no land at the North Pole. But by the end of this video, you're going to realize not only is it home to the mountain of God, it's also home to paradise, the Garden of Eden, which includes a city full of angels that goes underground. So starting off, let me introduce you to Justin Trudeau. He is the Prime Minister of Canada, which in fact is very close to the North Pole. What I'm about to show you is an old clip of him in a room full of elites talking about a trip that he took with his dad to the North Pole. Get ready.
Trip. I was going with my father and my grandpa Sinclair up to the North Pole. It's a very glamorous destination. I figured I was finally going to be let into the reason for the existence of this high security Arctic base. That's exactly right. We drove slowly through and past the buildings on a special top secret mission. And that's when I understood just how powerful and wonderful my father was.
Now, do you think a bunch of ice sheets made him have that reaction? No, no, no. It's because he witnessed everything that I'm about to reveal to you. This was a letter written to the Queen Elizabeth I. She was the Queen of England in the 1500s. Let's read what it says here. In the midst of the 4 countries is a whirlpool, into which they empty these 4 indrawing seas which divide the North Pole. And the water rushes round and descends into the earth just as if one were pouring it through a filter funnel. Sounds just like the maps that these explorers made in the 1500s. In the midst of the 4 countries, a whirlpool and then 4 rivers coming out of it. Just like it says in the Bible. A river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. Look, it says here, it passeth through the whole land of Ethiopia, which is Africa. So these rivers go around the whole world. Our oceans are giant rivers. The North Pole controls our tides, not the moon. And it's funny how after the 1500s, all the maps started looking like this. Unknown region. Even NASA satellites, look at those big black holes in the middle. Now, the big mountain in the middle, it is called the Rupus Nigra. Look here. This is straight off Wikipedia. Look what it says here. Rupus Nigra, it means black rock. It is a magnetic black rock mountain located at the North Pole. Except there, under the bright pole, there lies a bare rock in the midst of the sea. Its circumference is almost 33 French miles, and it is all of magnetic stone. Why do you think all the compasses point north? Because there's a giant magnet in the middle of our Earth, which is BlackRock. What's the largest investment company in the world? BlackRock. Now I'm about to prove all of this to be true. This right here is Richard E. Byrd. He was a naval officer who received the 2nd highest honor of valor given by the United States. So this guy is legit. And look what it says here. He was a polar explorer. And in his diary, To the Pole, he goes into complete detail about how he was let into this place by the angels who live there, taken underground, and given a message that he was supposed to deliver to the president, which he did. I'm going to be releasing part 3 into my Discord in our North Pole chat, where I go in depth about this story, where we're also going to have weekly teachings about this stuff in my Discord. So go hit the link in my bio right now and join. Don't forget to like, comment, and follow. I'll see you all in the next one. This is part.
I say at this point, we don't believe anything until we actually touch it, see it, and feel it, and know it for ourselves. Because I do know that the corporations is what they are using around the world. That's what the control is.
That is the beast
commerce.
Yes, it is the beast system, man. It is the beast. Absolutely.
And so, that's all just a bunch of freaking fiction where they gave this written entity the word. I'm going to call it what it is, the word. They are words. They say it's of God. Yeah, they're themselves. They are the professors of the word that they created themselves, and they've got everybody blindsided to it. Yeah, because I love the outdoors. I like animals, wildlife, going fishing, going to the river, going to the mountains, where, just getting out. And that's where I feel the most like me, in that environment. Not in town, not with all this BS all the time, that people are on the treadmill of life.
It's a big, endless reset, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. We just go through the same cycles all day, every week, every month, every night. I mean, it's
like
the same
clockwork.
You guys, it's too bad Flow State left. I thought he'd get a kick out of this one. I was going to show.
He might.
I went for a hike this afternoon. I've been contemplating moving down towards you, and
Yeah, you were
I
talking
needed-
about Roanoke. Yeah.
Yeah, I've needed some mental state, and I went to the for rest,
Mhm.
and it was interesting because I just it's where I feel the best place. But I was walking back the path, and it splits, and the one is like a quarter mile longer
Mhm.
than the other path. We normally just go straight. Well, I was by myself, so I was like, well, fuck, I go straight because it's shorter, because this little man doesn't like to walk.
Mm.
I don't give two fucks. So I turned down that road, and I'm sitting there walking, and I look down, and once you know, there's a fucking a hawk feather.
Oh, nice.
Interesting.
Well,
Yeah,
the
in
hawk is the
one day-
messenger.
Yes, in one day I had an eagle sitting in my tree. I had a hawk later, the very next day, and then that night I had an owl sitting in my tree. I'm like, what am I supposed to know and glean
Right.
from all this? So yeah,
Yeah.
I started just paying
Dreamy.
attention to things around me. All of them
Dreamy,
predators
that's really
too.
funny. That's really funny because I have a owl feather there because I tend to find those, and it really, I relate to the owl quite a bit. But also what's really interesting about that is the other day, like 2 days ago, I found an eagle feather, a white eagle feather.
Wow, cool.
And obviously I leave them out in the forest for nature, because that's the appropriate thing to do.
Yeah.
So
But I
check
just found
this
that
out.
interesting, all in like a 24-hour period of time.
Yeah,
You know.
mine was like a 72-hour, but same thing. I agree. It's what
I
is it?
pay attention.
Yep.
It's speaking to you if you know.
Yep.
So check this out. I was hoping Flow State would stay up here. I wanted to show him this. I knew he would have got a kick out of it. The premise of this is that this couple is on a blind date, okay, and they run into another couple that he knows apparently in this restaurant. So I'm going to show you. This is funny as shit, and I'm going to hit my bong while this is going. This is fucking hilarious.
And Beth, she's slowly restoring my faith in blind dates.
Oh, kudos to you, Beth, for getting this old workaholic out of his office for once.
Nice work. You caught the big one. Did I? Do you know? No.
Look how big little Evans can get. Come here,
Little.
Mike.
Yeah,
Come here.
he's growing
Oh,
like crazy.
No.
big boy. Yeah. Who's a big boy? Who's a big boy, huh? All right, he's a monster. You got yourself a little linebacker here.
A little linebacker
You
that
see
needs to
this
go to
guy's
bed.
You look good. There you go.
Another pacifier down.
You got it.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, bud.
Yeah,
Wait, why is his testicles on his neck?
Really? Oh.
Hey, let the man eat, honey.
Come on, Ray. We have a picture of our first date. They should
true.
have a picture of theirs. Come on, get your fanny over there behind her and don't be shy.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay.
Get in close. Beth,
All right.
I'm going to need you to hold still. Oh, God.
Oh.
Get down. Get your
Yeah.
face down next to hers. Come on. Take it.
Okay.
It's so good.
Oh, dude.
Now, why don't you give each other a little
Oh, come on, Angie. We just met.
Go on, let him eat. Let the man eat.
Just a little kiss.
All right. We'll do one kiss on the
don't need
forehead.
to.
One peck on the
We don't
forehead.
need to.
Ready?
We really don't.
Two,
We don't need to
ready?
at all. We really.
This is my new friend Beth. She's slowly.
Why does he have nuts on his neck?
I don't know, man.
Is he drinking Bud Light?
I don't know, man. He drug them fuckers through the soup when he went and looking at that kid sitting there. He picks up
Too
that
much
kid that's
soy.
resting on his head, and it's like, no, like that. But everybody else is just acting like this is normal. It's not anything strange about it at all. Because he's even like, did you see his? Did you notice?
That's kind of how I feel when I talk to somebody that knows that we're flying through space at 1 billion miles per hour in 48 different directions at any given time.
Oh, I know that's some, and you know, it'd be one thing with this whole, you know, if they were all kind of going the same way, but you've got, and that would be bad enough, but you've got perpendicular motions occurring as well, which is really throws it off. You know, they say, oh, well, because it's so big. I don't give a fuck how big it is, man. You know, speed is a speed is a speed, and you're still subject to the same physical laws. I don't give a shit what the size is. You're still subject to those same physical laws, man.
Are y'all
All of it.
Are y'all like the black sheep or the renegade in your family? I'm just curious.
Well, I don't know. I guess both all of us kids were kind of rebellious. So I don't.
Well, I mean, you know, like the
I
black
wasn't
sheep,
really
the outcast, the one that was different, that kind
No,
of thing.
I'm more like that. I'm treated more like that in life than in family situation.
Family.
You know, because it's more like, you know, oh, that guy, you know, he's nuts. He thinks this, that, and this is why I've been having a blast the last 3 years going, told you so. Told you so. You know,
I'm the youngest of a big family, if that answers anything.
Oh,
well, they
wow.
come up, the people come up to
I'm
me
in the middle.
with some baby truth or shit, you know.
I
going,
just wondered because sometimes, placement in life, people that are different because they think for themselves and they may think differently than other people. A lot of people like that get labeled as crazy, or the other ones that don't like it, are always lying about things,
Yeah.
trying to deceive and use the world against you. So I was just wondering, but that's cool that it's just kind of random.
This is Renee says my Mormon family chased me out of Utah with the police saying I'm the devil. I'm the devil. Well,
Yeah, after I had my stroke and everything, and people would tell me to go to hell, and I said no. I said the devil's afraid I'll take over, and heaven don't want me back.
oh yeah,
I'm still here.
For
I'm
sure.
still here.
Listen, there's some.
I died as a baby a couple of times.
You died as a baby a couple of times?
Yep.
That's messed up, man. That's messed up.
It's definitely an experience that you can tell immediately those that have not had it versus ones that have had that experience, because we know and the rest of them don't. I mean, it's a very interesting thing.
It changed the structure. It changed the structure in the way that my brain actually works. It used to be to great detriment. Now, as an adult, I've learned how to cope and or facilitate growth.
Well, it's important now, and so you don't have to fight or worry about those things that are totally unimportant.
I don't listen to what others are telling me.
Right. Because you already found out it's a lie.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what you learned about death before you died, but I can tell you this much. They lied in the churches, in the schools. Everybody that I ever heard talk about death was full of crap.
I was like a baby when I died. I had near SIDS.
Right. Yeah, I remember you talking about that. See, my third daughter, my third child, she was like that. I literally took her to the doctor because she wouldn't wake up. I told him she wouldn't wake up. And whenever I got there and everything, and on the phone, he told me, you're a mother and you can't wake your child up. So anyways, he has me bring her in. So I take her in and everything. He goes, this is how you wake a baby up. And he picked her up out of my lap and later on the doctor's table. I said, I bathed her this morning. I've done everything, dressed her and everything, and she's not woke up. I said, this just keeps getting worse. And I said, her skin's clammy and whatnot. Well, when he couldn't wake her up, no matter what he tried to do to her and everything, the last resort was they had to get ice. And they started putting, kind of stimulating her with ice cold rags and stuff. And when they got her awake, I was made to wake her up, set an alarm clock 24 hours a day and wake her up every 4 hours. Don't let her oversleep. Otherwise, like you said, they said she was a SID syndrome baby and that we caught it. So, yeah, I had to wake her up constantly. That's a scary baby.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got to make sure you're waking her up on time. Yeah, she just.
Is it like kind of like how sleep apnea goes or something?
They say that like we have a clock, inner clock. Where we wake up, we go to sleep, we get hungry. So there's things in our body that tell us to react to things, and hers just and Sid's babies that doesn't work. They just. If you're not paying attention and they don't wake up and they don't cry and, ask to be fed, because usually, babies, they can get pretty bad belly pains when they get hungry.
There's definitely something to the whole sleep apnea. And because I have sleep apnea now as an adult and I've had it all my life. I didn't know what it is. Like, girlfriends all throughout my life, anybody that I've ever lived with is like, dude, you fall asleep and you don't breathe. And then you'll take this gasp of air. And that's the same description of my mom when I was a baby. So there's definitely something to it where the brain isn't connecting those points. And I would definitely say that not necessarily like weight being a cause for your sleep apnea, but more of a brain issue.
Right.
I was a huge fucking baby though. Like there was a lot of me.
I got something here just for you, Nubs. You've been using the excuse about gravity all since you came on. Here we go. We're gonna.
Well, that's because it's gravity.
All right, check this out.
I just want to do a mic drop like my buddy, fucking
Neil.
Yeah.
Neil smoking DeGrasse to Tyson.
Yeah.
Right. But check this out. This is pretty good, man. This is pretty good. This is on the running the numbers on this gravity bullshit. You were saying, why doesn't the moon get pulled away by the sun, right? Well, that's exactly what they're asking right here. So check this out.
Don't know much about history, don't know much biology, don't know much about science books, don't know much about the French I took, but I do know that I love you, and I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be. Don't know much about geography, don't know much trigonometry, don't know much about algebra, don't know what a slide rule is for, but I know that 1 and 1 is 2. And if this one could be with you, what a wonderful world this would be. Don't know much about geography, Don't know much trigonometry. Don't know much about algebra. Don't know what a slide rule is for. But I know that quantum one is two. And if this one could be with you, what a wonderful world this would be. Now I don't claim to be an A student, but I'm trying to be. Or maybe by being an A student, baby, I can win your love for me. Don't know much about history. Don't know much biology. Don't know much about science books. Don't know much about the French I took.
See, they'll take and cancel out the zeros and make it a simpler thing. See, all those zeros make it okay. So let's shake it out. Take out all the zeros. There we go. $81 times stronger than Y. See? So it couldn't be a circular orbit. That's it right there, man.
I hate it when math works.
Well, I mean, it's just like they're all the time wanting to go, fuck, look at this math and this formula and all this other shit. And when you do work it out, you realize that it's just, well, what the fuck? It's not, that can't be. It can't be. It's like when you try to ask them about calculating the distance to the sun. They always want to throw in some assumptive value. Like, oh, the orbital radius of Venus. And it's like, well, how the fuck do you know what the orbital radius of Venus is if you don't know how far away the thing that it's orbiting is? Second,
Exactly.
you're assuming that Venus is orbiting the sun. That's an assumption. We've never seen this actually take place, right? We never see Venus transiting across the sun ever for any reason. It never does that. So that's an assumption.
And there's not in the daytime, there's not a dark side of the moon when it's just a sliver. It's not a black or a dark, It's the same color as the sky behind it.
Yeah.
In the crescent part of it.
Yep. And in the dark spots.
You're muted, Nubs.
That was the studio name.
What was?
Where it was filmed. The dark side of the moon was where the cameras were.
Right. But I'm talking about in the real world out here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was the studio name where they filmed the moon landing. The dark side of the moon.
Right.
Guess what Buzz Aldrin's mom's name was?
Gotcha.
Buzz Aldrin's mom's name was Marion Moon. What's the odds of that, right?
Yeah, how
Gematria, it adds up to 33. And if
they made a song about that.
And if you take the her initials MM and turn them sideways, it makes a 33. There's just some interesting coincidence involved. But here's a guy who's with the first crew to land on the moon, and his mom's name is Marion Moon. I mean, you can't make this shit up, man. Come on.
They made a song about that in the 90s. Mary Moon.
Yeah.
Moon, she's a vegetarian. I wonder if that's like a clue.
Was that maybe her? Well, I didn't know that's what it said in the song. I had bad speakers. I thought it was Mary Moon. She's a freaking lesbian. I don't know. That's just me. I have bad hearing sometimes. Luckily, because some of the shit that I hear, I don't want to hear it anymore. It's just like, come on, you're not even doing a good job. But trying to trick people. You're not even doing halfway good. I mean, if we just gotten that much wiser, or have they gotten that bad at their fakery? I think it's that we've gotten wiser.
I think they don't know how to use the technology properly.
Well, I think it's turning around and biting them in the ass. It's a double-edged sword, and it's cutting.
Right.
It cuts both ways.
Well,
Yep.
like the way we all talk and think, this is why I miss my grandparents, because my grandparents and some of my aunts and uncles back in those days, being my great aunts and uncles, I like talking to them because they talked about things like this. They didn't go with the status quo. They didn't agree with it, and neither did my great grandparents. You know, there was stuff that they knew that they would talk about. So I think that it's not everyone, but a good majority of people, they've separated the family so they don't just, live in the same place, get together every now and then and whatnot. Instead, they go years before they get together and talk at a family reunion. It's that way with my family now.
Why is it? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to just say everyone's kind of living far away. And since like my grandparents passed away on both sides of the family, on my mom's side, they're still doing the family reunion, but on my dad's side, they're not. It's just, and I didn't grow up with my mom's side of the family, so I don't know a lot about as much. But what I did learn from them, was very interesting because they were just as upset about the crap and the way the world was going as we are now.
I'm trying to find this thing I have about the analemma.
Why is it only in America that we have this thing called empty nest syndrome?
Right.
Other countries, they have family. And what is the number one thing their agenda runs is destroy the family, destroy the man, destroy the woman, destroy the child, destroy us. And that's honestly, because it is that is why I am inclined to be of the understanding that there is really something bigger and outside of humans. If
Right. Yeah.
like a creator. Like a creator.
Yes. I mean, when you really there's no one right now alive on this, whatever you want to call it, that can create a brand new, never seen species of something.
Right.
All they can do in this world is create artificial entertainment, artificial books, fictions, things
What
like that.
about a homunculi?
What's a homunculi?
It's a creature that's made with. Never mind.
It's like a created jar person.
Yes.
Like a pod person.
Well, that's just taking something that is already present. I'm talking about from complete scratch.
There's a gift that's involved. Yes, there is a present.
Where in the hell did I do with that analemma video? I'll have to find that for next time because that's really a good one, man. It shows, the tighter circle in the north versus the bigger arcs in the south by making a out of proportion figure 8 with the way the sun is every day at noon during the same part of the year or throughout the year on every day, and it actually makes a figure 8. They used to put it on maps. You don't see it anymore, but it used to put it on maps, and that shows a tighter circuit at the northern regions and a wider circuit at the southern regions. This is why it comes out disproportionate.
If you take that same pattern and watch it track day after day, it makes a pep. It makes a greater 8.
I'm trying to think what the. I used to have a goddamn movie of it, a video of it, in time lapse, both from the south and from the. Oh wait, there is that it?
At least that's what the one that I saw.
See, this
Whether
is
it's true or not, I didn't do it.
this is what the moon does. This it does the same thing, but over a 28-day period. Right here.
Yeah, that's in a pep.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? Now that's just over a month. That's over a period of a month. So I think that's pretty fucking slick. But it's there again, another thing that shows that
But if you notice during the day, you can still see the blue sky behind or in front of or whatever around the moon.
Yep.
And even when it's just a little sliver.
Yep.
Where it should be black on this
stars
end.
through it. I've seen stars through it, Dreamy.
Yep.
You know, that's what the story, the childhood story, the tortoise and the hare. That's what that's about.
Yeah, I can see that.
The moon.
Yep.
Damn, I can't find that damn thing. It's upsetting me. I got to go through and sort this shit out. I got so much stuff, and I keep saying, "Oh, I'm gonna have to." Now I'm all the way back to shit. I'm all the way back to like earlier in the year.
Dude, you've got some major gravity issues. Things are migrating where they shouldn't be because they're heavier than other things.
Well, yeah, that's just how shit rolls. Hey, wait, I was in a whole different.
It rolls around.
Category here. Oh, cool. I found those pictures of my granddaughter.
I have found myself asking me why I have to know these things. Why do I need to know so much? That is a question I have yet to find the answer to.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like
it's driving me nuts. I got to learn more.
I know. It's like this
about everything.
Like a thirst. I know.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it too. I get like this thirst. I want to know more. I want to know more. I want to know more.
I mean, I go through periods of time where I do chill for a bit, but then I get starting to think, and I get questions, and I go start researching stuff, and
with that being said, if you think about it, even the stuff that we know, if we haven't done the firsthand personal account research, then we don't know.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
And if you don't have experience, you don't know.
Right.
Like there's different levels of knowing. Like people that come running around talking about, like, for instance, Mr. Wiener, when he was talking about certain topics, he sure did have an interesting perspective on certain topics.
Right.
Yeah, watch this one. Watch this. This is what you're talking about right here. This is when he starts getting asked about the fucking Clinton thing.
Eloquent on the way you defended Hillary Clinton, on who she was when it comes down to politics. Are you still close to that family?
I'm not.
Okay. So who do you think between the two was a better politician? You think Bill's a better politician? You think Hillary's a better politician?
I don't think Hillary was a particularly good politician.
Okay, so she's a better strategist, you would say. She's more strategic,
she's
power.
She is a classic blooming where she's potted kind of public official.
Yeah.
Everything that she has been given to do. I watched her, as a rookie elected official come into New York and become an amazing senator. I watched her at Secretary of State be like, she blooms where she's potted. She knows government well. She's smart, as a very, very smart person.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that it's hard. I think it was hard for her to get her sea legs, being the first woman candidate of a major party. I think it was hard for her to get her sea legs in the framing of Bill Clinton's.
Wait a second.
A lot of challenge she faced that you and I would not face on the campaign.
Do you think she's a good person?
I do.
Pause that for a second.
So, when we.
Okay, so because we all know a little bit of legalese and everything like that, he compared her to a good person, for one. And we all know what a person is and what a person is not. And the other thing that he said was that she was good where she was put. So wherever she was put, she was going to shine, much like a flower that's potted. Right? Well, he also was giving the analogy of the sea legs. Well, that's maritime admiralty reference.
He's kind of reading a little bit. I don't give him very much credit for anything like that.
You don't think so? I mean, maybe I'm reading way too much into it and just over fucking thinking it. But if you think about it, they've got to tell the truth.
He's just one of their little henchmen, shit stains. And you can tell that by the way he talks. He really likes to think that he's big shit. He acts like he's big shit, and he really doesn't realize what a little worm he actually is. But check this out, what he gets into when he starts bringing up these names.
Announce the fact that we're interviewing you. We kind of crowdsource with the audience. What questions do you want to ask? And then our research team will go and say, hey, is there any credibility to this or not? And then we don't waste our time. So, hey, we're having Anthony Weiner on. Great. So you have to ask him about Frazzle Drip. Go look it up. Oh, this video is a deep fake. No, any credibility to it on what happened with Hillary Clinton, Huma, and all this stuff. Nope, we're not going to ask him about that because I don't yet see a real source. A lot of it was stuff that, conspiracy, all this stuff that's being said. We're not going there. Yeah, you need to ask him about Pizzagate because that's exactly what's going on with kids. Yeah, no, we're not going there. That's not something we're going to be asking him about. Yeah, you need to ask him about this and you need to ask him about this. I said, okay. All of these things that they said we have to ask you about. To be fair, it's Bill Clinton officiated your wedding with Huma, your wife, if I'm not mistaken. Correct. So you've been very close, and your wife, is it still wife or is it ex-wife? I think it's separated since 2017, right?
We're separated. We co-parent Jordan, but we're separated.
Okay. And, she was a right-hand person to Hillary Clinton in 2016 while the scandal was taking place.
For years before that, she was with Hillary she's 20 years.
And the whole thing with the life insurance, the email, 650,000, one folder with the word life insurance and the files that are in there. So the next thing that people said you got to ask him is the following. So, Rob, if you can pull up this story, I'm not going to buy into this one. Well, 9 out of 12 cops, NYPD, who saw the email and saw what was in that laptop, committed suicide. And it was, 7 of them since June. And it was the most ever that this took place. And these are the men that committed suicide. So then we went and looked it up. And we're like, no, they did commit suicide, but it wasn't linked directly to seeing the laptop or the intel there. No problem. So again, no credibility there. So there's no reason to ask you the question about the 9 out of 12 cops that saw it.
You shouldn't even be listing them and giving it oxygen.
No, my job is to listen because I like to read.
List them. You shouldn't be listing these things.
Well,
these things
it is what it is.
Destructive. People have actually
these are conspiracy theories. These are conspiracy theories that
all
some
that have
people,
books about them, though.
Right. But the one thing that we did look up that wasn't a conspiracy theory was the following. And this is the one that's kind of weird. And first thing I ask myself is, how the hell is our guy here, Anthony Weiner, still alive? What do you mean by that? Well, when you go through the list of people that have been close to Hillary Clinton and the Clintons and the Deadpool, this is not a conspiracy. You got the names of James McDougal, okay, Clinton's convicted Whitewater partner, died of an apparent heart attack. Mary Mahoney, a former White House intern, was murdered July 1997 at a Starbucks coffee shop in Georgetown.
Ron Brown, he died in a plane crash.
Vince Foster Vince Foster was the next one. By the way, the James Dougal was a key witness in a key Ken Starr investigation.
Ron Brown was in a plane crash. Why is he on the list?
Ron Brown is another one, but there was a close person to this. Victor Razor. You got Paul Tooley, Ed Woolley.
Wait a minute. You're reading a list of people that Bill and Hillary Clinton knew. They're 80. They're 70-something years old.
I'm asking you this question. I'm asking you this question and an answer at the end. So you got Jerry Parks, Jane Bunch, James Wilson, Kathy Ferguson, Bill Shelton, Candy Bow, Florence Martin, Susan Coleman, Paula Grober, Danny Casolero, Paula Wilker, John Parnell Walker, Barbara Weiss. We should verify this yourself because you're running a radio show. You should look it up.
I don't know any of these
Dr.
names.
Stanley Hurd, Barry Beal, Barry Seal, Johnny Longhorn.
Can you read me the URL you're reading? Can you read me the URL you're reading?
We'll send you the most credible source you can look it up.
Let your listeners know what you're reading.
We'll put the link below. We'll put the link below.
Just tell me so I know what I'm responding
Friday,
to.
Kevin Ivey, Dan Henry, Keith Coney, And these were part of the Ivy Henry case. Keith McCaskill.
What's the Ivy Henry case?
You can look it up. Ivy Henry case. So Gregory Collins, Jeff Rhodes, James Millen, Richard Winter, and then you got the close bodyguards, Major
Chemsick at
William
the bottom.
Barkley, Captain Scott Reynolds, Brian Hanley, Tim Sable,
What do
General William
you don't
Robertson,
even know what you're reading a
William
list of. How is this? How is this
Densberger, Robert
helpful?
Kelly, Colonel Gary Rhodes, Steve Wills, Robert Williams, Conway LeBlue, Todd McKeon. I'm done. It's 46 names. And
of what? Can you read me the list? Can you read me the URL so I know what you read a list of?
When I finish this, still in the storm.com. You can look it up.
Still in the storm.com.
You can look
this is
it
your
up.
big moment, guys.
Yeah, so you can go. And by the way,
ads about chemtrails at the end of it.
He hasn't even asked the question. He's just reading the article.
He's reading a list of names.
So
he hasn't even asked the question. It's a list.
The fact that you're getting nervous is an answer.
It's not
okay?
nervous. This stuff makes me sick when you repeat
exactly.
these
It makes us sick as well.
It obviously doesn't.
Of course, because the establishment makes us sick.
You start the question by reading a list of well-founded
your reaction is an answer.
Conspiracy. I know these things make me sick, and people
Your
have gotten killed.
reaction is an
over it.
answer.
Someone went into a pizza parlor in Washington because they believe this shit, and you're making an echo chamber.
Your reaction is an answer. So let me go to it here now.
Hold on.
He referred to Pizzagate.
He did. Nobody even fucking mentioned
Yes,
Pizzagate,
he
right?
did.
I mean, he mentioned it. But this is so far the host has not said anything about it, and this guy went right there.
And he's awfully angry for the host to even be bringing these names up. He's getting madder and madder by the second.
Yeah, man. That's why I say he thinks the lady doth protest too much. This is the kind of reaction that I see. When I see this kind of reaction to anything, whether it's like flat earth, evolution, God, the Clinton death count in this case was somebody who's connected. He knows. That motherfucker knows.
A snake always slithers.
So, this is it's very telling. There's too much objection. If he was smart, he'd sit there and go, now this is a list of what now? These are people that knew the Clintons. Oh, okay. Well, and then give my answer. It's like, hey, they're old people. They know a lot of people, I'm sure. And there's many of those people die. I mean, this is not unheard of or something along those lines.
Did you see some of the name or the ways they died though? That one dude was stabbed 113 times. That's a crime of passion, dude.
Yeah.
That's passion. The other guy slammed into a truck while on a motorcycle.
Yeah,
if you're a motorcyclist, you keep your distance from vehicles.
I think the latest one put a noose around his neck. Now, this was their explanation. And then shot himself, which caused him to hang from the rope. So he was shot with a shotgun and hanged.
Yes, that's always double whammy. It's going to happen.
Because that kind of thing happens all the fucking time. Get out of here with
There are people that disappear that if they step on the wrong person's toes.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Well, you think about it, like I've experienced some pretty massive trauma when I chopped my fingertip off. And I've also experienced other like bodily trauma and shit like that, like massive amounts of blood type deal. How hard is that? Like, it's not hard.
Right.
And to bleed out, you stab somebody in the right spot and they bleed out slow and quiet.
Femoral artery.
Yeah.
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 So check this out. Watch the rest of his reaction. He's such an annoying little fucking shit. I wouldn't be able to sit there like this dude and not fucking choke the shit out of this guy. I swear to God, he's like a real irritating Woody Allen or something, man.
No.
Your reaction is an answer.
List. Yeah, my reaction is my reaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you tell me what that list, in your view?
You haven't allowed me to finish. If you allow me to finish the
you're
question,
reading 46
then
random
you can
names
do
off the internet,
whatever you want.
Some fucking insane website.
I love your answer.
And these people who you don't even know who they are, you're reading them on a list of something, making some kind of as if it's somehow suspicious. You don't even know who these human beings are, who have families, who are like out there. And now
I'll spend the next 2 hours with you one by one, explaining each individuals are if you want to do that.
How about you pick one? Pick one and tell me who he was and what his story was.
Tom.
No, not you. You were asking me the question. Pick one name and then tell me.
Pull up Vince Foster if you want.
No, Vince Foster, that suicide has been investigated 50 times. Pull
Yeah.
up one of the obscure names you pulled.
Yeah,
Why did you pull Ron Brown? Here, let me read Ron Brown. Ron Brown, a Commerce Secretary who a plane crashed while he was on a humanitarian mission, crashed on the side of a mountain. So what do you want to know about Ron Brown?
Why did he have a 45 caliber bullet in his head?
What do you want to know about Ron Brown?
Can you let me ask the question?
No, listen, this is a
can
conversation.
What
aviator that
I'm
flies
sorry,
in
I'm the
mountains
host. You invite me to your
flies into
podcast.
a
You get to
mountain?
ask the question. I'm the host. I'm going to ask you the question. You haven't let me answer the question.
I didn't see the
your
rule book.
reaction is already an answer.
I know. I am infuriated by people.
He's like a fucking angry Horshack. Do you remember Welcome Back, Cotter?
Yes, I love that show.
Can you imagine if this motherfucker started laughing like Horshack? That bullshit. That would be fucking hilarious. But I mean, he's just such an irritating little shit. Look at him.
Drag other people's name who are powerless. You're not powerless.
Hillary Clinton is
I'm not-
powerless?
No, these people.
Hillary Clinton is
These
powerless.
people.
That's the problem.
These people.
Hillary's the problem.
You read a
The
list of people
the
because you have the
establishment
power to
people.
do it.
I don't-
People who do that are
I have
bullies,
the
and
power
I
to
don't
do-
appreciate bullies.
I have the power to do what?
You do. To read a
do
list
what?
of some
I have the power
stranger's
to
name.
use the DOJ and other things to control
That's
and hide
not
things.
DOJ.
Yeah.
DOJ didn't make this
Let
list.
me finish up my
Some
question.
jackass made a list in his
You have
basement.
the right to
You're reading their
answer.
names as if they're incriminating
You
in
have
some
the
way.
right to
That's
answer.
bullying, and
You
I don't
have-
appreciate. And
you have
I
the-
stand up against bullies.
Please do so.
He hasn't even asked the question yet,
He's reading a
Anthony.
list and he's refused. And now he says, "Let's move on."
No.
Because I set your answer
Nobody
already.
has said
He
move on.
hasn't
You're
even asked the
panicking.
question. I don't even know what the question is.
Yeah.
Pick a name.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Reading
And you get
a
to
list
answer
of people who
or not
probably
answer.
And there are some of those people that had military titles in front of them, and you're
Exactly.
dragging their
That's
name.
even
through,
the point.
You're dragging their name
That's
through
even the
and
point.
You should be ashamed
Because
of yourself.
their families would want to know.
Because you've got a podcast.
Some of their
you can
families
read
would want to know.
some conspiracy theory podcast. A conspiracy theory that 9
I
people read.
got you.
You find some guy that comes in, and then
Congratulations,
you
buddy.
go from Ron Brown to some obscure officer
Yes.
that used to protect Bill Clinton, who passed away. May he rest in peace for his
May
service.
all of them rest in
And
peace.
you are dragging them into some
May
wacky
all of them
conspiracy
rest in
theory.
peace. May all of them rest in peace. So here's the question for you. Because millions of people are not convinced Hillary Clinton is
Again,
a good
with
person.
the other people, millions
including
of people.
myself. If you want to do that, I'm not
put the questions
I'm not
in your
worried
own.
about.
Don't
ask
try
the
to make
question.
it about some bozo who put up a website. Put in your own words.
Here's a question for you, Guy. It's a very simple question for you. So, how is it when you think about other candidates? Okay, everybody has a stereotype. You have a reputation, whether you like it or not. What's your reputation? Your reputation is you like to text underage girls and you like to talk to girls and you sex sending pictures of your dangling. That's your reputation. Whatever you do, you can't do anything about it. Adam has a reputation. Adam is a playboy in Miami.
Better get back to that list of strangers you read a
trust
list
me,
of.
I'm getting back to it. Tom's got a reputation. His reputation is a man who
And right now,
loves
your
his wife,
reputation is listing
and-
strangers
and
who
I-
served in the military and dragging their names
I
through the
have a
dirt.
reputation to ask tough questions and piss some people like you off. That's
And
my
including
reputation.
including dead people who I'm going to stand up for.
Oh, trust me, we are standing up for them more than you are
Let's
standing
see.
up for them.
Let's see. You better
My
get back
que-
to that list
my
because we're going to
question-
clear some people's names today.
My question for you is, how is it that in the last 50 years, we don't have a single candidate? Everybody has their own. Hey, John F. K. was a playboy with Marilyn Monroe. Trump, Karen McDougal, Stormy Daniels. You know, George Bush linked to 9/11 and weapons of mass destruction. Bill Clinton linked to Arkansas women, all this others. Everybody has a reputation. How is it that the reputation that follows them is people close to them die? Why is that a story that many people believe in? Why is
How
that?
are the Clintons in their 70s yet? You don't think I can make a list of other people who are 70-something years old and say this person
How
died,
come they
that
haven't
person
done
died,
that
this
with
person
Bush?
died? Hold on.
How come they haven't done that with Bush? He's in the same
I
age.
have no freaking idea why they haven't.
How come they haven't done that with
hold on a
Trump?
second. But so are you saying? So you agree with what
How
I'm
come
saying?
they haven't
but
done that with Reagan?
So
how come they haven't done that with
what
Kerry?
point are you making about these men and women
How
who you
is it
listed?
so many people close to them die? How is it so many people
close to
them
everybody
as
dies?
How is
Are
it
you
so
suggesting?
Many
Okay.
I'm asking the question.
You're
is what
asking
I'm
a
doing.
bizarre question.
Exactly.
Did
It's
people
pissing you
die?
off.
Did people die? No. What pisses me off, and I'm going to
Is
say
what?
this again because you apparently are not listening to me. You read a list
Yeah.
of people off an obscure website that of conspiracy theory taking a Venn diagram of everyone that ever worked in the orbit of someone who served in public life for 50 years, and you listed them, including people in the military, including strangers you could not pull out of and you are implying that there's something nefarious. Let me finish my thought. Let me finish my thought.
Please do so, because I got another
Let me
source
finish my
coming
thought.
in here for you.
You're implying both
Yeah.
with the question and with the website. The website says it explicitly.
I'll
You're
give you
implying it.
another website.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
You're
Don't pull it up
implying that
until
something.
he's done.
You
Don't
are
pull it up until
implying.
he's done. Go for it.
You are implying that something nefarious is afoot both with the question and with the list. Hillary Clinton, she's a big girl. I'm a big boy. You're a big boy. The people that you just listed.
They're all.
Listen to me. No, these are obscure people that you could
You're
not pull
a
out of.
great politician, buddy.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Fantastic.
You know what? You are the classic bully. You list someone's name,
You
and
are the
are you going to
classic-
go back
if
and
there's
clarify
anybody
it?
that's the
Are
bully,
you going to
it's
go
you.
clarify?
You know what the
Are you going to
qualities of your
clarify this list?
personality is. You
I don't
wanna really
want
know
you
that.
ad hominem attack on me.
Yeah.
Is going to somehow
Classic
clear that
bully.
person's name.
There isn't anybody at this table that's a bigger bully than
I
you.
tell you. Oh yeah, you just
Yeah.
listed some stranger with
Very
PFC.
good,
with
deceptive
PFC.
way of pinning. Good
Look
for
at
you
you
guys.
You're reading some.
Good
you're,
for
You're
you.
reading a conspiracy website.
Good
and
for you.
Some people say.
Yeah.
Some people
Pull
say.
up the
Look at that
Wikipedia
fucking
link I just
website.
sent to you.
He
Pull up
knows
the
that
Wikipedia.
list
You
pretty
Wikipedia
well.
Conspiracy website?
You want to take?
No.
You want to take a run at me?
Wikipedia.
Bring it all day, pal.
Hey,
Bring it all day.
Sweetheart.
Take a run at me.
Clinton
Do not
body count.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Right at the top. Wait, can I throw a mic I can drop? Conspiracy. Right at the top.
What's the point with that?
The point is conspiracy theories are by their very definition unsubstantiated.
How come other people don't have this?
By their very definition, unsubstantiated. So, wait a second.
Gravity.
Theory, I would, yeah, exactly. Theory, I would say, would mean unsubstantiated. So, the theory is that people in high levels may collude together and do nefarious things that are probably not for the benefit of the general public, but rather to the benefit of themselves and in a clandestine way. Is that an unheard of thing? Of course it's not, man. So that doesn't mean anything. Just because the CIA weaponized a term doesn't mean that it's wacko. Okay. We see that there is a high amount of people that have been close. I mean, it's inordinate. Nobody has that many people that die in unexpected, strange ways. Suicides that look like murders and shit like that. You know, and it just so happens that their death ends up benefiting the very people that are in question. You see?
So that because dead men don't talk.
That's exactly right. But you know,
It's like an episode of Dallas.
yeah. Or what's that one they're doing now? Yellowstone?
Yeah.
That's kind of some shady shit going on with that one.
But that honestly, there's some truth to the way that shit works. Like, obviously, if they've got a list, how many of the other ones have lists?
Right.
You know, because it's kind of like an officer.
See, nobody's ever been able to say, hey, look at this large group of people associated with the Bushes or with Reagan or with
There's not
any of
40
these other
people, right?
They just mysteriously end up dead. You might be able to find one or two, you know, in their past somewhere, but not at the level of like 46 plus.
It's kind of like what's his name being on the Titanic and the Titanic.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
They're
too
very
much
prominent.
coincidence, you know. And usually it's people that have some kind of dirt on the Clintons. I mean, I'm sure that Hillary calls up the suicide hotline and says, "Hello, I'd like to place an order." You know?
Yep, that's pretty much. I bet she does.
Make sure they're extra scared. That way the adrenochrone's fresh.
Yeah, right. Who knows? This is pretty good. He gets fucking bent out of shape, really bad.
Conspiracy theory. How come Reagan doesn't have this conspiracy theory?
Oh, wait a minute.
How
Hold
come
on.
Bush doesn't have this conspiracy
Newsflash on
theory?
the PDB
How
podcast.
come John Kerry
People
doesn't
say
have this
shit about the
conspiracy theory?
Clintons. Oh, wow. Really?
Why do they, though? Some of the stereotypes are true. Like, you have some reputation. It's true, some of it. Some of the stuff they say about other people
That's
is
not
true.
a stereotype. That's a made-up story about strangers.
How come others don't have that made-up story?
People have it all the time. Look at the internet.
Give me another body count with another president or candidate. Give me
Do
another
you
person.
really think that someone
Pull up,
within the
do me a favor
do
and
you
pull
really
up another
think
Barack Obama body count.
Do you really think? Oh, why did you go to Barack Obama not born in this country? By the way, where
That's
was that
irony.
Did you guys
That's
do that one?
irony.
No, that's never anything
Why?
we discussed.
Oh, why? Oh, come on. Some people say it.
Anthony,
There's a
you're
there's a Wikipedia thing on it. Huh. These people are strangers that you just read a list of, and I think out of deference to them,
You're a dark human
out of-
being,
out of-
guy. You're
settle
pretty
down,
dark.
pal. Settle down.
No. You're
You
pretty
should cut
dark.
Yeah, because look at he's trying to point like righteous indignation.
Yeah.
You know, where he doesn't really have any footing to ascribe that to, but he's really trying to put in righteous indignation. You just mentioned some people and they're dead, blah 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 blah. This is a typical Marxist tactic. Typical.
Then what has he actually said? He spoke a bunch of words, but he hasn't said anything.
No, in fact, what he has said, he has said really quite a lot. Really,
Right.
He said
not
really quite a
saying
lot.
anything.
His response of his whole tactic of avoiding the very nature, he knew what the fuck that was.
And the name.
When he was acting like, oh, what is this list of names? And well, why are you getting angry about it?
Right.
He knew that list very, very fucking well because he spit off like 6 or 7 or 8.
Yep. Without knowing what the list was about. Because the question never
Without
got
knowing
asked.
about the list.
Right. The question never got asked. He was just given a list of names prior to the question.
Yeah,
At least that's what I got from what he was saying.
What would have been funny is
Oh,
if somebody cross-references that list to the names that he said, and if somebody wasn't on that list that he put out, that would be funny.
Yeah.
I like what this guy says though, man. He says, no, he says, you're pretty dark. He says, you're pretty dark. But check this out. This guy, he flounders. He flounders.
That
to take
list
the
out.
angle you did. You're
You should cut.
exactly.
Listen to me. You're talking
Yeah,
conference
yeah.
now.
Oh, okay.
You should cut that list out of those
Sure,
people. We can still have
absolutely.
the argument. You and I are big boys.
Absolutely.
Cut that list
I'm
out.
not going to be cutting that list because the world.
That's right.
Here's what everybody
Yeah,
needs
the
to-
world needs that poor person's family that you can't even name.
Exactly. That some people say, what does it matter now? They're
Some
dead.
people say.
What does it matter now?
Some
They're
people
dead. Can
say.
you play that clip again?
Famous podcast
Play
host
that
says
clip
some
again.
people say.
Play that clip again. What does it matter now? What does it matter
These
now?
people.
What does it matter
Change
now?
the subject all you want. Anyone who read that list
no one's
is
changing the
still
subject.
waiting for you to come back
Do
to
you
that list and apologize
Do you
to those
realize
people.
why some people
Apologize to those people.
Do you realize why some people?
You should apologize to those people.
Why do you keep saying that? What does he
Because
need to
those
apologize
people,
about?
listing those people on some obscure website as if something about their death was shrouded in some kind of a mystery dishonors
this
their
is-
memory. Now,
this is
if
fantastic.
you are Hillary Clinton
Fantastic.
if you are Hillary Clinton or Anthony Weiner, that
Yeah.
Wouldn't suicide already dishonor your fucking memory?
Normally.
It's
You know-
not hard though to make something like that look like an accident though. I mean, there's so many ways they can do it. They have the ability, to, if they know how to unravel on a crime scene, where there's been a shooting or this or that. If they can unravel it with all the technology they have, they can orchestrate it and put it together.
Well, take a look at Vince Foster. Okay, that was one of the first names that he mentioned on that list. James McDougal, that one was a heart attack in jail while he was awaiting to go to trial, and he was going to testify against Hillary in the Whitewater real estate scandal down in Arkansas. I mean, this goes way back. Anyway, Vince Foster was found laying prone in a park, I think Battery Park, if I'm not mistaken. And he was gunshot wound to the left temple. All right. Vince Foster was a right-handed person. So he shot himself in the left temple. No gun was recovered. That was interesting too. They
Right.
also, hey, there was a briefcase with him. They searched the briefcase, and the third time that they searched the briefcase, they found a suicide note. It was very vague. I mean, there was a whole bunch of shit that stunk about that, and what he was getting ready to have to testify that was going to open up shit on the Clintons. I mean, every time. That's what I joke about. I've fucked with my wife before and told her, I said, if you keep it up, I'm gonna put it out on one of my videos that you have dirt on the Clintons, and that's it. It's on video. That's
so
it.
this is just theory, but he was talking about the private or PFC or something like private first class on the list.
Yeah.
Just out of thought, if we're if we are talking about something and I am lying about a situation, I'm going to reveal little aspects of the truth unconsciously. So what if he was the hitman on like 4 or 5 of these people, and then he was taken out because you always take out the hitman?
No, look, there's no way this guy could ever be a hitman. There's no way. This guy.
No. I'm not saying Wiener.
Oh,
I'm saying the private first class.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Kind of sort of how they used what was McVeigh there in Oklahoma.
Right.
Same crap.
Right.
Yeah, there's
that was like all or north. They both took hits for some reason.
I bet you this guy right here, he's such a nervous little shit. You set off a firecracker in that studio and he would shit his pants, literally.
Yep.
I'm not kidding you.
As long as he's not in the space toilet, he's all right. There's constant suction.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's suctioned to the pot.
See,
they call it riding the dragon.
He tried to minimize his own behavior by putting the blame on something else. It's not him. It's because of something else. And, he does this continuously, everything. It's all, oh, this is just because of that, or somebody doesn't like this person, so they come up with this. And it's like the guy asked a really good question. I mean, it's like, why is there no, Reagan body count, or a fucking Nixon body count?
Right.
Or, there's a Johnson body count, but it's nowhere near that of the Clintons at all. And nobody's saying Hillary necessarily or any one of the Clintons necessarily pulled it off. But, this could be even a case of, like you were saying, I had my henchmen go to do this, and I think that they might talk. So I'm going to have some other henchman kill this henchman, and right down the line to where it gets to a point where nobody even knows what the last fucking murder was over, or even that it was a murder, especially if you've got people in your pocket high up in the Justice Department, in the FBI, municipal police districts and things like that. Shit, you're standing pretty. You're never going to see any fucking time.
I know people with lesser power that's done just as much. So yeah, that's exactly how it freaking works.
Yeah.
You got to shut them up, and you can do it in ways that just seem like accidents.
He asked him, are you Hillary Clinton or are you Anthony Weiner?
You sound fine. If you are some person who has one of these jackasses on the internet showing up at their doorstep saying, tell me about the death of your father, how did Hillary Clinton? We had someone walk into a pizzeria in Washington with a gun because of assholes like this.
I've heard that phrase before by other people. Play it again. I've heard this phrase a couple times.
By the way, what's the whole Benghazi? Let's do the whole Benghazi.
No, it's the phrase.
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night decided to go kill some Americans?
You disagree with her point here?
What difference at
Play
this
that again.
point
Play that
does
3
it
times.
make?
You disagree with this
Play
point?
that from the 10-second mark. Not
Yeah,
from that mark.
play it from the 1 second mark so we really get context.
Right there. Go play it right there.
Play it from the 1/10 of a second
some
mark.
Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
That's what you sound like.
Let's hear it.
What a script. You're duplicating it very well.
Let's hear.
You're duplicating that script very well.
By the way, do you disagree with her point?
Of course I do.
You do?
Of course I do.
That it matters whether it was a protest that came from Libya to that family.
Do you know
to that family? And by the way, do you know why she cleaned the Republicans' clock in that hearing? Because she talked about how many times
the clock. She ain't a president, guy. that's cleaning the clock. The American people cleaned her clock.
No, in the Benghazi hearing.
Yeah.
Focus.
Why do you think she's not a president?
Focus.
Why do you think
the
she's not a
Benghazi hearing?
president?
Focus.
The American people
You bring
cleaned
up
her
a
clock.
clip and then you want to change it to 2006. Let's talk about that clip
what
for a
she did
second.
to the Republicans. So going back to it, here's what you're doing right now, which is fantastic. You just influence
you don't believe that, do
a
you?
lot of people to. You just influence a lot of people
you
to go
can
do their own
find
due
you can
diligence.
find
Go
utter
do it.
dirt. No, you did
Find
that,
out
pal.
for yourself. No,
I saw what you did by listing the conspiracy theories you're not going to ask about.
I'm not
I
gonna
saw
ask
what you
about
did.
those things.
I'm sorry, that was dishonorable.
Yeah, that's which part's dishonorable.
The list of conspiracy theory you know is bullshit, but still putting it out
but
there.
This thing, there's a lot of
I think
credibility sources
people
behind
want
this.
bullshit. It's not true. Look at what you had to cite. Cite any media that you would ever read in your day-to-day life for that. Cite anything. Go call one of those people.
You still can't answer questions,
Have
can
one
you?
of your No, you make a point now responding to it. Have one of your producers call up one of those families and tell them if they want to be listed in one of these conspiracy podcasts.
You're so sweet for saying that. You're so sweet for playing this deceptive game. I got to tell you from watching you for
Have
the
you
last.
do that?
I got to tell you.
I know this is not what you're used to, man. I'm sorry. It's funny. I texted with someone. Should I give them what they're used to, or should I, whatever? And they said just whatever.
You know how I knew who you were the moment you walked here. You know how I knew who you were.
You don't like
when
me
you
because I
walked in
disagree
here?
with you,
Let
man.
me tell you.
We have too much of this.
No. Let me tell you who you are, guy. Here's who you are.
This is good media. You're getting good content.
This is who you are. You walk up here and you said, "What's your name?"
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that.
No. You said, "What's your name?" And then you say, "I called my friends to say, should I give these guys this?" You know the name, you know the show, but you're
No. I was trying to find if you use your whole first name.
Hey, so it's like the
I
player.
apologize.
What's your name?
I
Because
apologize.
you're above everybody
No,
else.
no. I
You
apologize.
position yourself as an
I
elitist
didn't
from
know
the
if
first
you
second,
used.
and I was willing to give you a fair shake.
I apologize.
You walked up as an asshole.
No.
That's what you're
I
getting.
apologize. I
Yeah.
apologize. I didn't know if you used the shortened version of your name. I should have researched that and
No,
listened
you
to how
didn't
other
say
people
that.
do it.
You said, "What's your name?"
I know, but to see if you would give me a hint of what you said.
And then
People
when
do it with me when I do Tony or
I got
Anthony.
a good memory
I
like you do,
apologize.
guy. You said,
I
"What's your name?"
apologize.
I said Patrick. Then you asked, "Do you prefer Pat or Patrick?" If you
I
knew
was
my
trying
name
to
is
be-
Patrick, you would have eliminated one of the questions and you would have asked. So the point is, and by the way,
I was
here's
hoping
the part.
you'd identify yourself.
I identify
You're
myself
right. I
as a
apologize.
male, as a father, as an entrepreneur.
I
But to
apologize.
Go back to your question.
I apologize. Do you accept my amends? I apologize.
Sure, I respect
I
the game.
apologize for that.
But the point I'm making to you is if you come in like that and I'm asking you a question, you react
You're
the way
reading
you
too
do.
much into it. You're reading too much. I apologize for that. That was socially wrong of me to do. I was trying to learn whether you go by Pat or Patrick. I apologize. I could have asked one of your men. I could have asked people. I apologize for that.
Anthony,
and
when
I hope you accept my amends for that.
When you did show up, this isn't a name call. You were kind of douchey at the first 5 minutes.
I
You
got
were
some bad. I got some bad news as I walked on stage.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I
got some
apologize.
bad news. I'm having
But
trouble.
we have conversations.
You want to hear what it is? Maybe
No.
you guys can help me with it.
No, I'm going to make my point, and then you say your bad news. I also had bad news today. I mean,
I'm sorry.
Just because you had bad news doesn't need you to be a douchebag when you walk on a stage.
I don't think I was a douche.
You're talking about the floods. You're talking about I don't know who you guys are.
I'm making
You're
small
asking
talk.
Patrick. His name is on the freaking show.
Douchebag.
It was pretty douchey, dude.
No,
and we have people
we're
that we
going back-
disagree with more than
We're
you.
going back to the Patrick Pat thing.
We're
I
past that.
apologize for
We're
that.
past that.
I
Let's
make
move
amends
on.
for that. The thing about the pun, it was a serious thing. Why I asked him about his landlord. I was actually.
He's the freaking landlord, dog.
Oh, you're being funny.
Of course I'm being
I didn't know. I'm sorry.
The moment I felt you're that guy, I had to give it back to you. Of course,
I
I'm
had
the
no
landlord.
idea.
You're like
Just-
the landlord sucks here. What's going on?
No, I didn't say
Patrick's
that.
like, yeah, the landlord's
He
tough to deal with.
volunteered. Here.
He's the freaking landlord.
Let's let the audience in on this. There's a big flood outside. It just rained. I'm unfamiliar with that kind of torrential thing.
But
You have
that's
no in
the
New York City.
point.
Hold on
You
a second.
don't know anything, and you're just like, this sucks, this sucks, this
No,
sucks.
no,
What's
no,
your
I
name?
wasn't saying
It's like
that.
that's
I
not
was-
how you start a conversation.
Let's hear him out. Let's hear him out.
Okay. First of all, I have made amends for the Patrick thing, and I should have done it.
So anyway, that's pretty much what I wanted to show from that was that over the top fucking reaction that he had.
Yeah.
And I see that over the top reaction with these globetards when they get so fucking angry and bent out of shape and shit. And it's like, wow. What
Did you see when he stopped and he went into apologetic mode? It was when he said it's all for rating, it's all for show. Like a trigger. Like
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit, that guy. I can't believe that he would have ever how did he get how bad was the person that he beat in the election to become a representative in the first fucking place? I mean, you have to look at that.
Or how many people did he blow to get into that position. I mean, no.
More like it.
No.
He is part of an overly represented group that we can't discuss. Very obviously so.
I mean, there might be, some connections there. If it was one or two names, whatever. Suicide is suicide. We all get sad. However, I would have bet that out of those 46, the ones that were suicide were like out of nowhere suicide.
Well, let's not forget about SEAL Team 6 too.
Right.
That accident that took them all out, that was unfortunate.
Right.
Went in and supposedly got bin Laden, that they dumped at sea in observant of Muslim practice. What?
You talk about
that'd be like if you shot Bigfoot, but not just any Bigfoot, an albino Bigfoot, right? But you can't
with the
show
crown.
anybody. Yeah, and you can't show anybody because you butchered it up and fed it to dogs or some shit.
And didn't tan the hide.
Yeah, see, it's all a bunch of fucking fairy tale shit. And they tell you it's just like NASA loses all their data to go to the moon. Oh, okay. What happened? Somebody taped the wedding over it? What? Dumbasses. Come on. And that should be insulting to people's intelligence. Not only the obvious trickery and bullshit that they run by you on a daily basis, but the fact that they think that you're so stupid that you're going to buy it. That's what fucking.
I actually believe it never existed in the first damn place.
I mean,
they didn't lose shit. They never had it.
Well, no, I mean, of course not. Why would they? I mean, it was all simulation shit on numbers coming across on a screen to people. Nobody was actually looking at anything.
Right.
I'm supposed to believe that they were transmitting these signals back and able to even the camera pan of when they took back off in the lunar module headed back up, right? I mean, just even in that, it's like, how did you work that out so that you had that perfect pan from a remote control on Earth? Give me a freaking break, man.
It was Peter. Peter Pan.
Either that or what? Somebody up there hanging out on the fucking moon. That this must still be there because they left without him. I don't see any realism to it.
The other one that really gets me is the Challenger.
Yeah. There's a lot about that. There's a lot about
how they're still all alive. The one goes by the twin brother that wasn't ever born. The one of them changed his name to his middle name. The one of them's was a Wisconsin teacher. Didn't even change the name or anything like that. Just
I got a thing about that.
They're all alive except for one. The guy that wanted to say something gotten put on the Obama. Is he on that list?
Right. Judith Resnick, all of those people are all still alive. This was pretty good too. I want to bring this up. Let me just stop this and bring it back. This is called Nothing Survives in a Vacuum.
Well, something survived the vacuum because they're putting poop in a bag now.
Yeah, I know, right? And then
something survives in vacuum.
I don't know, man. That just sounds.
Well, if there's coke in the baggie and it's in the White House, that shit ain't gonna survive in a vacuum, except for the vacuum of Biden or Hunter's fucking nose.
It might have been Joe's. Who knows? That might be the only thing keeping him animated, right? But check this.
10% for the big guy.
But the ultimate and most dangerous test was a huge, specially constructed vacuum chamber. One such test narrowly avoided disaster. Jim LeBlanc was the test subject in the vacuum chamber.
This is one of the rare instances where they tried to use a spacesuit in a vacuum chamber, but quickly realized that it's impossible in a high vacuum. So they immediately started using swimming pools to train and remained silent on the absence of vacuum chamber training by astronauts, which basically is a lie by omission.
As I stumbled backwards, I could feel the saliva on my tongue starting to bubble just before I went unconscious. And that's kind of the last thing I remember. Essentially, he had no pressure on the outside of his body, and that's a very unusual case to get. And there's very little in the medical literature as to what happens when you have that. There's a lot of conjecture, that your fluids will boil, that your fluids will boil.
You can see a little bit of bubble start going.
I could feel the saliva on my tongue.
Well, that's why they go out in the special suits when they do maintenance outside.
Yeah, what's so special about those suits? It's not going to want to succumb to the powers of equalization. I mean, there is
Mylar and gravity, dude.
Gravity and Mylar with a little bit with a little bit of a what is it? Parallaxial refractive flux capacitors. Yeah, that's it. But most importantly, gravity.
Yes, gravity holds it all together.
God, it is, man. I mean, and if you don't understand that, then that means that you're not educated.
Well, wait, if that's the case, then when you're in space doing maintenance up there on the space station, wouldn't you be ripped into the space station because it is the largest thing with gravity in that vacuum? Like, you wouldn't be able to move away from it.
Well, I mean, none of it makes any damn sense at all. It's duct tape. Stacy Sunshine says duct tape. Absolutely. That's
well, I just watched a video where they were sailing across the equator, and it was flat both ways. I'm not joking. I mean,
well, that would be anywhere that you're sailing, whether it's at the equator or not. It's always flat both ways.
But you should be able. But you should see how far you can see whenever. Even in a video, you can get an idea. Even, if you've ever been to the ocean and seen it with your own eyes, and then you watch a video where they're sailing. Yes, you get an idea of what the distance. So when they're showing you around them, absolutely you can see. And you'd be up high enough to where you'd be able to see farther.
I've been in the crow's nest.
Just saying.
I've been in the crow's nest of a 55-foot yacht with a pair of high performance binoculars, and I did not see land. It is an eerie ass feeling.
I bet.
It is a really eerie feeling because you're not on a big ass fucking cruise ship. You're on a tiny dinghy when it comes to it. It might look big in port. It might look real big next to a fucking John boat. But you ain't shit when you got fish that are bigger than you out there.
Yeah, they've had some recent orca attacks in some areas. With people that are sailing.
So check this out. In response, Thrash, let's see what there would be about with this vacuum of space.
Would understand if I burst a tire, the high pressure would go outwards into the lower pressure environment, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the direction. It's called entropy. It's the way that energy moves. Heat in
yes, I understand.
One example, and air pressure in another example. Yeah, good stuff. So we're breathing gas pressure right now. And that gas pressure, we are told, is uncontained from the vacuum of space. According to natural law and entropy, the gas that we breathe, if uncontained, should disperse into the vacuum of space. The thing is that to have gas pressure in the first place, it needs something to press upon. That's what gas pressure is, the force of the gas exerted on the inside of the container. So if they tell us that the Earth is an open system within the vacuum of space, you and I would not be breathing gas pressure because there's no thing for the gas to press upon. In actual fact, we wouldn't be breathing any gas at all because it would disperse into the vacuum of space. So understanding that removes all of the stories that they tell us about the vacuum of space, especially when they turn around to us and say, hey, look, the Earth is a ball. because that place up there, the vacuum of space, cannot be real according to laws of nature. We might as well force them.
So as you see, even with that demonstration, that balloon got lanced, and what happened to the shit inside of it? It just went out everywhere.
It expanded to equalize.
Yep. So space vacuum. No, although a vacuum cleaner, Stacy, works on the principle of creating a lower pressure system inside the machine than there is outside and giving it a place to equalize that. The vacuum cleaner does work on the principle of equalization of pressure systems. So
yep.
That's what it is. It's not really, you can't really say that space sucks. Space sucks. So in other words, this is why you can't go to Walmart and get a bucket of propane for your grill. Okay, it has to be in an enclosed pressurized tank. And as soon as you breach the containment of that tank, equalization takes place violently and rapidly. Okay, because nature, it just doesn't like those pressure differentials. Even within the enclosed system, we have pressure differentials that fight one another for equalization, and these manifest themselves in the form of tornadoes, storms, typhoons, and things like that. It's when two different pressure systems come together and the equalization causes the effect that we see. So
have you ever done any study on vortex?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah.
Vortexes, honestly, in my opinion, that's going to be the way that I'm going to power all sorts of shit. Is a vortex. A vortex into a Trompy pump would give more than enough air and water and everything you'd need to do massive amounts of power generation on shit that you can buy right now off the shelf.
You ought to build one and show it to us.
Yeah, no shit.
I need the land.
Moving off grid. I'm gonna need some electricity.
Have you ever heard of a Trompy pump?
Nope. But I've looked up like water, different water hydro systems.
No. Unless you're looking for this, you're not going to find it.
I'm just saying. I mean, I've
Most
just looked
likely.
up other free energies, that are out there.
Well, there's no free energy. You always have to contain.
Right. But you know what I mean. Yeah,
right, but what I'm saying is,
energy.
If you get rid of the hocus pocus that they feed you and think about it in terms of how it works in nature, okay, so hypothetically, Mount Meru is a giant vacuum for water, right? It sucks all the water in. Well, where does all the groundwater go? All the groundwater eventually goes to the ocean in one way or another, whether it be rain or, however it gets there one way.
Right.
Well, then it drains through Mount Meru. Well, where does the groundwater come from? The ground, right? Well, I was in a creek bed that was fed with a spring. The whole area is filled with springs. And I was looking at it, and this spring is bubbling with air, as if there's an air pressure system under there. Well,
there's artesian wells, and they will actually push the water up. There was we had artesian well there in Texas where I lived, and there was one area. I mean, they did drill, and there's over 600 feet of suction rod in the well. They couldn't find. They were just trying to find the bottom, but that's how deep they went. But the thing is when they drilled it, probably about 10, 15 feet from there, the ground is constantly soggy, and it sits up on a hill. Mm-hmm. So where did it come from? How was it? And it was ice cold, even on the hottest of days.
Air, because if you research a Trompy pump, it's the exact same way And I'm not saying it all would go down in Mount Meru, but I'm saying that if there was a main drain and Mount Meru really existed and the story was really true, there's a lot of fucking water there. It gets filtered through. You know, you can get salt out of
It's like where
salt
you
water.
get down into
Well,
the primary.
the way our water works is it evaporates and comes back as rain, and we always
That's
have
what
the
we're
same.
told, though.
Yeah.
Well,
So who was just saying? Who was just saying something about the fucking Challenger crew?
I was.
You? All right. This is real short. This is on this.
Lives. This is Judy Resnick, an engineer and pilot aboard the Challenger mission. In 2013, an eagle-eyed internet user found Judith Resnick, a law professor at Harvard Law School. Some people were a little taken aback by the identical name, age, and likeness, so they started digging. This is Michael J. Smith, also an engineer and pilot aboard the Challenger shuttle, who passed away that fateful day in 1986 at the age of 39 years old. This is Dr. Michael J. Smith, professor of engineering at the University of Wisconsin. This is Sharon Krista McAuliffe, arguably one of the most famous things about the Challenger mission. She was supposedly just a teacher that was picked at random to be one of the astronauts, which made it all the more tragic when she passed away due to the Challenger disaster in 1986. This is Sharon A. McAuliffe, also a law professor who received her degree shortly after the Challenger disaster. Dick Scobie was the commander of the mission. Here's Commander Dick Scobie next to Richard Scobie, the CEO of Cows and Trees. Here's his company's original logo. It's a cow, but it's not in a tree. It's strapped to a rocket. And gee, that jet stream kind of looks familiar. In fact, just in case I wasn't making it clear, the top picture is the Challenger ship shortly after exploding. So, you know, astronauts Ronald McNair and Ellison Onizuka both passed away when the Challenger shuttle exploded. Miraculously, it was found out that they both had twin brothers.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today I'd like to bring to your attention a potential fraud on an enormous scale happening in your county. There's now clear evidence of NASA using numerous methods to grossly mislead the public about astronauts being on the International Space Station. During interior ISS scenes from NASA's own live feed, the use of wires, harnesses, green screens, and virtual reality have been detected to achieve the appearance of a weightless environment. Examples of this include astronauts fading in and out of the screen, green screen glitches, grabbing objects that aren't really there, pulling on invisible wires, getting tangled in their harnesses, and even astronauts appearing out of thin air. This begs the obvious question. If they're really up there, why are they using Hollywood techniques to fake the footage? Now, unfortunately, I can't show you these clips in here today, but I will be sending them to you. Moving on, outside the International Space Station, during spacewalks, air bubbles have been recorded on numerous occasions. How is it possible for air bubbles to be present in the vacuum of space? I once questioned astronaut Scott Kelly about this phenomenon. His body language and answers only created more questions. In 2013, astronaut Luca Parmitano nearly drowned during a spacewalk when his helmet filled with water. This happened again just last year. Air bubbles, helmets filling with water, and drowning. Are they in space or are they underwater? Now, what's really interesting is that they train for spacewalks in an underwater pool with a complete ISS replica. Now, surely they aren't filming these spacewalks in an underwater pool and then editing them to appear if they're in space.
They are, and don't call me Shirley.
Because that sure would be something, wouldn't it? I'm calling on the Brevard County Commissioners to open a full investigation into NASA's fraudulent practices and use of taxpayer dollars. It costs NASA $3 billion per year to operate the ISS, and if they don't have a darn good explanation as to why they're faking these videos, I and the public would like a darn good explanation as to where our tax money is going. And if they are indeed faking the funk, it is our duty to expose and eliminate this fraudulent and astronomically wasteful ISS program. And look, I know what you're all thinking. The NASA is part of the federal government, and you're just county commissioners. Even if what I'm saying is true, what can you do? But let me remind you, not only is this happening in your county, as public officials, you have the platform and the ability to make a statement or hold a press conference, alerting the public, state, and federal authorities to investigate further. You have the power to start the conversation.
You also have
evidence of everything I described today will be emailed to you all, and I truly hope we can get to the bottom of this. I look forward to the day that $3 billion annual budget is put towards our veterans, our homeless, maybe some of that mental health stuff the young lady just spoke about, and the revitalization of Brevard County. Thank you for your time today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
They don't want to change it. It's all part of the secret to keep control.
Yep. Now that whole thing, they made sure that every kid in America saw that happen.
Right.
You know,
I
that
remember
was
when
like
that happened.
they were definitely harnessing energy or something from that, because they've wheeled in, you know, there had been shuttle missions before that they didn't bring in a fucking TV for you to watch this shit on in school. But they did on this one. And they used the excuse that, well, because it was a teacher that went on board.
That's why, right there. Because it was, you don't remember the whole propaganda behind it? Oh, it's America's great sweetheart. It's a teacher. Like, she was totally random, guys. Like, totally. Like, we didn't have her planned or anything. Like, not at all.
No, we just pulled her out of nowhere.
Yeah, she's just a teacher from Wisconsin. Like, for real. Like, she doesn't have any connections or anything like that.
No.
Like, if I remember correctly, her brother, she's got direct connections to NASA in her family. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she has some direct connections. Well, it's just like fucking Stalin's great-grandchild or grandchild, one of the two, is assistant to the Secretary of State or some stupid shit like that. I don't remember exactly what it is, but you're telling me that Stalin was anything but, you know, tragic for the country, and, you know, all of a sudden ideology in a family line that goes that high all of a sudden changes? I don't think so.
Right.
You know, I remember sitting on Grandpa's lap, laughing at all the death and destruction. Like, come on.
Well, think about all the ancient stuff, you know, the stuff that we're told about before, you know.
Was it really that ancient?
People could
though?
read or write. I'm just saying, you know, according to what is said, that before anything was written down, it was just passed on verbally before it was recorded, right? Only more in modern times is recorded. Then how the hell do they know what happened back then with so many wars and this and that where people were shut up?
There's a lot of proof that a lot of that is not actually what happened. But
I know.
Like, there's people that have done the cross reference from wars to people, and like, and if you think about it, if you look at history, there is more death and destruction than there is birth.
Yes.
Which is impossible.
Read the Bible. That's what that book's mostly about. Is, you know, killing men, women, and children.
Well,
you know?
it's a propaganda,
and it's you see it out here in real action. You know, real time, all around you. It hasn't changed.
In my opinion,
you're right.
In my opinion, they came over and they stole the Mayan Codex or some of the Mayan books. They translated it. They introduced it with this Jesus character and sold it. And they sold it so much so that they had to use swords.
Well, I just kept asking questions, you know, because that's just who I am. And not getting any answers. And my biggest thing is if I have an adversary growing up the way I did, I needed to know who that adversary was. And the churches and the preachers and the teachers and the bishops and the priests, they ain't telling nobody. Because once you read the doctrines of these different groups, they have their own doctrines. Once you read it, you will see, and you can't unsee it. After that, I wanted nothing to do with it.
Well,
it is.
The thing about that is a lot of those doctrines supposedly came out of the Inquisition, because you had a lot of people that were converts that did not want to go to Catholicism, but were not able to openly practice their religion. So they made up these quasi religions such as Lutheranism. And like, if you look at Luther's family lines, it's kind of interesting. You know, and there again, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I sat on Grandpa's knee. He told me a story, 1, 2, 3.
All right. Yeah, well, I'm just saying, you know, whether it be science, religion, all these different groups, politicians, you got all these different groups running around. The one thing I know about corporations is it's like it has it's protected like a person, like, you know, someone walking persons around. That's right, they are. But a lot of people don't get that. So you see, like, when there's a war, when you really start to get into, okay, why was there a war? Who started this, that? It always starts out with propaganda, getting everybody, all the people getting all riled up, just like they did with 9/11.
Well, who benefits when there's a war?
So they did. The elites do.
Well, who is the one that is paid on the trusts? Who owns all those trusts?
The Pope.
Exactly. So either side, let's say we go to, and notice that we're only against the non-Catholicized nations.
Right. And the Christopher Columbus, okay, let's go back to the Pope.
He was a Jew.
Second. But the Pope, listen, it was the Pope of Spain. You know, people say England, but it wasn't. It was the Pope of Spain that whenever they came over here and started ripping the Americas apart and doing the things that they were doing.
Well, 1492 in the spring, the Moorish Empire fell out of power. Then the Inquisition started in Italy. And it came down from the north as the Christians moved into their place of power. During the fall or summer fall, the King Ferdinand and Queen Isabel came into power. And then basically it was about the Inquisition and purifying the land.
Yep. Well, guys, I'll tell you what, this has been a good one. It's getting kind of late. I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to let you all just briefly have a last word. Dreamy, if you want to go ahead first.
You know me. Keep on learning. Keep your open mind. You know. And everybody have a good night. Much love.
All right, honey. Thanks a lot for coming up. Nubs, what do you got?
Have a good evening.
All right, brother.
Peace.
So also be sure and check out. I have it set as a premiere tomorrow. You'll have to double check. It's either 7 or 7:30 p.m. But if you have a bell notification set up, you'll be able to hopefully get a notification that it's going on. But it was a debate that I did with Red's Rhetoric. And he ended up, I had to throw him off. I ended up having to throw him off. He got kind of out of control for the timbre of the debate, but it really quite well done. I think you'll enjoy it. So like we always like to say on here, Lord loves a working man. Don't trust Whitey, and see your doctor and get rid of him because he'll probably fucking kill you. So good night, everybody. Thanks for coming.